risky behavior.
The views and opinions expressed on this channel are solely those of the host and guest and are intended for entertainment and discussion purposes only. This channel does not promote bias, hatred, or discrimination of any kind. All questions posed and thoughts shared are part of a critical thinking exercise and are not meant to offend or judge any individual or group. We encourage respectful dialogue and love for all. Please remember to think critically and engage thoughtfully. We aim to foster a positive and inclusive community where everyone feels welcome. Thank you for being a part of Risky Behavior ENT.
Risky behavior.
Yo. What up? How y'all doing? Welcome back. This is Risky Behavior ENT. I'm your host, Mr. Diabolical himself, also known as Beware the Messenger. God, let's hope the internet is forgiving today. You know what? At this point, I am addicted to the Jubilee debates. So today I'm doing another Jubilee video. This one is going to be the pro-life or pro-choice. Featuring Lila Rose. Where do you stand? Are you pro-life? Are you pro-choice? As you come into the building, whether you're watching it live or on replay, make sure you smash that like button. Brings more people into the room. If you like the content or like just hanging out with me, feel free to subscribe. Okay. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into this. I'm not going to give my views on pro-life or pro-choice, mainly because I don't really have any strong views on it. I'm kind of like whatever is right in that situation. I think when it comes to serious decisions, it's case by case. I think the right answer usually is all about balance. You know, if I'm being honest and stuff like that. So anyway, I normally do these on Saturday, but I doubt I have time to do it tomorrow. So I am doing it today. So let's go ahead and jump up in this.
It does break my heart that if you're sharing you had an abortion, that there could be a child, I don't know how old they'd be, 10 years old today, who would be cheering you on saying, go get him, mom, you got this.
I can promise you that would not be the case. With your statistic and your information,
your baby had a right to live.
You don't get to speak for my child. You don't get to speak for my child. Let's start right there.
Hey everybody, I'm Lila Rose. I am the president and founder of Live Action. I am a mom of 3, a wife, and the host of the Lila Rose podcast. And today I'm surrounded by 25 pro-choice activists. My first claim is abortion leaves women scarred for life.
That's one of them like crazy questions. Like I don't even know how I feel about that.
Hey.
Hello. What's your name? Julia, nice to meet you.
Okay, so from my understanding is scar means permanent, and I would argue that life is permanent. Mm-hmm. And so by not allowing women to an abortion, you're basically saying you have to have this permanent being that exists in this world.
Death is also permanent. And that's what a lot of women
yeah, I don't think she saw that one coming. Just to say that you got this permanent life in this world. Yeah, death is permanent too. Special shouts out to my brother, Mr. Marcus Banks. Brother, how you doing? I am doing well. I got me some good rest. Got me a good snack. And yeah, I'm feeling good, brother. I hope you feeling good as well. How you doing?
Struggle with, especially on the anniversary when that baby would have been born. For many women, again, I've talked to hundreds just personally, but there are thousands and millions more out there. On the anniversary of when that baby would have been born, 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, there's deep regret and pain. And there have been several studies done that show that women have higher suicidality who have abortions than that women that give birth. But there's a California study, which is 200,000 Medicaid patients, 150% more likely to commit suicide if they had an abortion than if they had given birth.
Right. So I think
So what
when
do
we
you think
talk
about that?
So I
mean, it
have a
sounds like
lot. I have a lot
abortion
of
can be
thoughts about that.
scarring.
I also want to talk about the fact that, from my understanding, is you did go undercover into Planned Parenthoods, and I have many friends that work at Planned
Correct.
Parenthoods. Which honestly, I'd feel a little unsafe if someone was like going undercover to mask something.
Do you know
Also,
what we
the other
were
thing is
exposing in the abortion clinics?
Oh, hold on a minute. I think abortion is not an easy choice for women. I don't go, oh, you know what do I want to do today? So go see a movie or have
Why
an abortion.
isn't it
It's not an easy choice,
abortion?
girl. Like,
why is abortion not an easy choice?
It's
for
not
women?
easy choice for any woman.
Why?
Why? Because you are literally deciding your own future on your own terms, and we're allowing women the choice.
And why is that? Why is that decision so heavy? For example,
Also,
I could go in.
The decision's heavy because you're asking.
I could go in and get a wisdom tooth removed, and I'm not going to
an
have
elective
this
choice,
heavy,
much like an abortion.
I'm not going to have this heavy decision around it. Why is abortion such a uniquely heavy decision?
Why are women the only ones having to choose these, and we're shamed instead of men? Because the men who are committing acts of assault. Let's see. I don't think they're father of the year, quite frankly. If they're committing acts of violence,
we are in total agreement on that. We're in total agreement.
Okay, you're a mother. How many adopted children do you have?
I don't have any adopted children.
Okay, so what about all the children that are forced?
Okay,
Okay, so great. Let's call the agency tomorrow. It'll take a couple years to go through the adoption process.
Well,
leaving children in foster care into the system.
Are you aware
that thus affects them and causes against the women that have to make that choice?
2 million families. There are 2 million families who would like to adopt a newborn baby and they can't.
Okay, are you helping them? Because if you're providing resources,
we do.
Yo, what's up? It is that time in the video. So they do this thing where they're working with Straight Arrow News, and they use Straight Arrow News to do what they call a fact check. So while they're doing the debate and certain things are being said, they will fact check them, so for the viewer, when you're watching the video, you'll see these fact checks pop up. So I usually pause it and read them. So the SAN fact check is estimates suggest 1 to 2 million families are waiting to adopt, meaning up to 36 families per available child. So they're arguing, oh, pro-life, pro-choice. Well, you don't have to terminate your pregnancy. You could put the child up for adoption. And the other young lady over here is suggesting, well, who's going to adopt them and stuff. And the lady says, well, hey, people are waiting to adopt newborn babies. If they are available, they will adopt them. So don't act like adoption is just impossible. It might be a tough process for people to go through, but you can do it.
You promote and help that, but you know,
right. So then
the reason why they can't adopt, the reason they're not able to adopt is because we have 1 million abortions a year. Our country kills children.
If there were
1 million
safe abortions, I would say that scarring exists.
And those are all legal abortions. To be clear,
abortions.
those 1 million abortions a year are all being
You're
done
Catholic,
legally.
right?
I am.
Are
Catholic.
you not going to feel Catholic guilt when all the women are dying in parking lots from illegal abortions?
So women are dying right now from legal abortions. Women who take the abortion pill, 30,000 of them are going into the emergency room every year because of the legal abortion
doctors
pill.
are now in fear of malpractice.
The media is lying to you guys. The media is lying to you guys because legal abortion kills women. It killed Tanya Reeves in a Chicago Planned Parenthood.
I have a lot of friends who had abortions. They're live. I was talking to them yesterday. They're pretty chill. They're actually pretty great. They're in therapy because they made that choice to have children when they are ready to have children.
There's tens of thousands of women who go to emergency rooms because of the abortion pill. There are dozens of women who die from
if
legal
they had
abortions.
safe access in education, sex education early on.
Those were
women and men
legal abortions that they were having.
You know what? I really hate when people do that, though, when they say, well, if you don't make abortion legal, you're going to have women dying in back alleys. I mean, we could say the same thing for literally anything, right? So I guess let's make prostitution legal, right? So those women are in them back alleys. Let's make heroin, fentanyl. Let's make all that legal, right? Because people are doing those in back alleys. That's just not the way the world works, is that people have this ability to threaten you that if you do not make this legal, then I will do it the illegal way. And therefore, that is the reason why it should be legal. And definitely there are women dying from the legal abortion. She said the name. I'm going to look it up real quick and get the woman's name, but it was the abortion pill, because sometimes when it causes the miscarriage, it doesn't push all of the fetus and all that stuff out of the body, and it leads to infection, and there have been complications and women who've actually died from that.
men and women would have access to education to understand sex.
You've been voted out by the majority.
Okay.
Please return to
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Hi,
What's your name?
Demi.
Demi, nice to meet you.
So I just want to clear it up. When you say scarring for life, what do you mean?
I mean, it leaves at minimum emotional wounds on many women and some of them physical wounds.
I think something to focus on is the emotional part. It's the shame that you get from pro-life activists. I know what it's like to go to Planned Parenthood and walk out and then see people protesting, calling the women murderers, chanting religious prayers at them. I think that's what's the scarring part emotionally.
So I've had the privilege of interviewing now almost 1,000 women who've had abortions and hearing their stories. And many of them share about how everyone told them it was the right thing to do, that there was nobody opposing it, and they had the abortion.
But you run
And
a
then
pro-life
and then years later,
organization.
and this is their story, and then years later they would say,
focusing on people.
well,
who
this
do
is
that.
their story, not mine. And they would tell me, and they would report about how after their abortion, sometimes it would be years later, they would remember it, and they would say,
What about the
I
other
wish I had
stories
never
out there
done that.
who don't regret
Or they
it?
would face mental health challenges, they face addiction.
Yeah, but what are the people who
Some
don't?
of them would face infertility.
You're not interviewing the people who don't regret it, who think that their life would have been worse off if they didn't get the abortion.
So I think if what you're saying is there's some women who don't regret it, I think it's absolutely true. There are some women who would maybe sit right here and say, I had an abortion, I don't regret it at all, it was great. But that doesn't mean that abortion isn't leaving women scarred for life, because it is.
But you're generalizing
those
it,
stories
saying that's
usually aren't
all women.
Those stories aren't usually made or told by typical media groups. Usually in media and in the entertainment world, you hear the stories of the women that are saying abortion is great, it empowers me. There are thousands and thousands of women who experience bitter abortion regret.
People,
and then there's also
women can have abortions and they want to have kids in the future, but they know that they're not in the position for it right then and now. So they can have guilt. They can feel sorry, but that's not all women. And that's totally valid.
I think there's a stigma today, if I may, I think there's a stigma today on a lot of women that they can't share their abortion regret because society is telling them that abortion's your right, it's empowering, it's a reproductive freedom.
But
and so if you have abortion regret, there's not really a space to share that.
Stigma. You're feeding into the harmful narrative.
What harmful narrative?
That women are getting abortions and then that they shouldn't feel regret about it because they're murderers and that they should own up to their actions. That's what the pro-life people are arguing.
I think what our narrative, if you want to call it that, is to say this is a human life. The science tells us this. It's always wrong to take a human life, and abortion does leave deep scars on a lot of women. Thank you. What's your name?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yo, what's up? Hey, I found the article we was talking about the abortion pill. Hold on. Here we go. Let me share this tab instead. That's it. All right. So they were talking about that abortion pill. Did it pop up enough to read? Okay. That looks cool. I'm gonna read it anyway. So they were talking about that abortion pill, and you have to be when it comes to these people, they read stories that happen, but they read them a certain way to try to fool you, is what they're trying to do, right? So if you read this article right here, the Publica, it says abortion bans have delayed emergency medical care in Georgia. Experts say this mother's death was preventable, right? So at least 2 women in Georgia died after they couldn't access legal abortions and timely medical care in their state. ProPublica has found this is one of their stories, right? And so this is the one, and y'all can look this up yourselves too later on. It's Amber Thurman, a 28-year-old mother, died after she couldn't access legal abortion care in Georgia. The state's maternal mortality review committee found that her death was preventable and said a delay in care had a large impact. Now, what Amber Nicole Thurman did is she went to another state and got abortion pills. And so it says in her final hours, Amber Nicole Thurman suffered from a grave infection that her suburban Atlanta hospital was well equipped to treat. She'd taken abortion pills and encountered a rare complication. She had not expelled all of the fetal tissue from her body. She showed up at a Piedmont Henry Hospital in need of a routine procedure to clear it from her uterus called a dilation and curettage, or DNC. But just that summer, her state had made performing that procedure a felony with few exceptions. Any doctor who violated the new Georgia law could be prosecuted and face up to a decade in prison. Thurman waited in pain in a hospital bed, worried about what would happen to her 6-year-old son. As doctors monitor her infection spreading, her blood pressure sinking, and her organs begin to fail. It took 20 hours for doctors to finally operate. By then, it was too late. The otherwise healthy 28-year-old medical assistant who had her sights set on nursing school should not have died, an official state committee recently concluded. Right? Now, there's, I don't think it has it in this article, but I read up on this in other articles. She drove up to like South Carolina or something and got those abortion pills, is what she did. Right? Drives back down to Georgia, who's passed the law. The hospitals, they are interpreting the law a certain way, and the way the law was written out was confusing hospitals. So you had women with these issues that the hospital was like, hey, I can't work on you. I don't want to lose my license. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get sued and stuff. But that's just an example of legal abortions can take lives, and that abortion pill, it can kill you just like it did with that woman. All right.
My name's India.
India, nice to meet you.
Okay, so when you say that abortion leaves women scarred for life, I have had an abortion before. I had an abortion actually a week before my 21st birthday. I'm a young Black woman in America, come from a low-income family. I'm also adopted.
How do you feel about your abortion?
How do I feel about my abortion? That's what I'm about to tell you. So I wouldn't want to have to make the decisions of what's next after financial state, emotional state, physical state. I did not feel like I was in the best circumstance. Was a little bit different with the father of would have been child. He actually wanted me to keep the child, but I chose not to because of my body.
I'm curious if you considered adoption.
I absolutely did. But like I said, based on my testimony and what I've experienced, I grew up in a home with foster children in and out day at my home, which is now my lifelong home that I've been at. I've seen all different kinds of circumstances. I've seen babies having withdrawals. I've seen babies who come from rape victims. I've seen all of it. You name it. It's not the best environment in my opinion, that I would want to raise a child in, okay? I have friends who have multiple children and they're struggling because they don't have the resources that they need. They don't have the proper support system that they need. The whole thing about this pro-life and pro-choice, it's not I'm choosing to, the choice is the choice of what I want to do with my body, not what you think I should do with my body. Wait, I'm not done yet. So
honestly, I think it's all about being selfish. The father wanted the baby and she said no. There are other people out here that would love to adopt a brand new baby that cannot have children, and she said no. I think you just got to call it what it is. If I don't want you alive, you don't get to be alive. And that's all there is to it. And I think everybody, hey, you got the right to make whatever decision you want to. Just don't lie to me about it. Just be honest about it. That's all.
It's what I want to do with my body. Who are you to judge me? I go to church. I'm actually a new member of the church, which is funny. I didn't believe in God a couple years ago.
That's great that you're going to church.
Thank you. And the decision that I made maybe wasn't the thing that I 100% wanted to do. It was
What do
definitely
you
something.
mean? Did you feel pressured to have the abortion?
No, absolutely not, because everybody around me was in support of whatever I did, especially my mother and especially the father of the child. But I didn't feel pressured at all. In fact, I felt as if it was harder to make the decision based on how I'm going to feel. Exactly. And as you're saying, women are scarred from this. I don't feel scarred. I definitely have an effect from it, but I don't think that saying this procedure scars women for life, because you don't know what I'm going through up here. Absolutely not. I don't care who you are, what you stand for, what organization you're behind.
I'd
You're
love
not
to
God.
respond to
You
what
don't
you're
get to
saying.
judge.
What is up, my brother? How you doing?
Yeah, what's up, bruh? I've been in the show for a few minutes, but I was still late at the end of the day. But I've been in a few minutes trying to feel it out, bruh. Man. This abortion joke, bruh.
Yeah, I ain't know if you was getting on or not, so I didn't want to play the video that you wanted to do. How you doing?
I mean, this one here is just as important. Don't get it twisted. This is just as important, but my views on this is horrible. My views on this will definitely get us canceled.
Oh man, I hope not. Let's see. Oh, Janelle says man can have babies with literally any female that wants a baby. You don't get to force her to have a baby.
But with that said, cool. With that said, he should be able to walk away. He shouldn't be forced to pay for it. The government, the state, the courts shouldn't have to force him to pay child support. Period. If she gets to have that child, he shouldn't be forced to pay for it.
Yeah. Jody is saying
You
something similar to that in the comments right there. Yeah.
right. You want equal rights, you get equal lefts. That's just what it is. Or that's just what it should be.
You know what, Janelle, I don't think it's about a guy forcing women to have children, because honestly, just like on this video, this is a woman telling women not to abort. I see more women debating and arguing this with women. I think it's just about human rights. Honestly, is really what this conversation is about. I don't think it's about forcing a woman to have a kid. I think that women, you get pregnant, that's just nature. Nobody can control it. But I think it's about, what do you think about human rights? Do you feel like all life is precious and important, and should you just be able to end it because you had sex and got pregnant, and because you just don't want it, it's inconvenient, or you're scared, you just get to kill somebody? I don't know.
And let's address that comment you stopped on right there. Let's address that comment. You choose not to have unprotected sex, you gotta pay. At the end of the day, it's your body as the woman. Yes, I can acknowledge the man can be irresponsible. I can acknowledge that as an adult, as a responsible man myself. But it is on the woman to protect her body. That's one thing these women scream to the high heavens. Her body, her rules. Remember? Let's not forget that. Her body, her rules. It's your body. You're the one who has to walk around for 8 to 9 months pregnant, not him. You should be the one going hella high water to protect your body. So while you're the one who has to lay in that bed, putting your life on the line, giving birth, while he's able to go out and impregnate 100, 200 different women again, you should be the one trying to protect your body while while not having to worry about whether or not he's a deadbeat, right or wrong.
Right. I think too, you taking all the risk, so the onus is
Absolutely.
always going to be more on you, not because the guy to give a guy a way out or
Right.
lack of
Yeah. Right.
accountability.
Right.
It's
Right. Not trying to get a dude a way out. No. Not trying to get the guy a way out. No.
what do you think about Kiana's question right there? How far into
How?
the question does he have a choice?
I mean, I believe he. I mean, at the very beginning. I mean, okay.
Well, she's saying, where does his choice begin or end?
That's a tough one because okay, if you lay down, okay, if you're having some type of one night stand and you both are being irresponsible and you just having unprotected sex willy nilly, and you wake up the next day and let's just say she's being the responsible one and she takes a plan B and you flush that sucker down the toilet. All right, cool. Uh, mission aborted. All right, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But you go on and it's too late, and he figures out that later on down the line, the baby is being formed, and he finds out that damn, this chick here is kind of a cunt. I don't want to have a kid with her. I mean, I kind of believe that he should have some type of say at that point. I mean, I don't think he should. I mean, if he doesn't want to have a baby with this, with this C word, with this B word, I don't think he should be. I don't know. I think he should have a say at that point. What you think?
Um, I think you have to be fair. So for me, I think that I think two different things about this. I do feel like that if women are allowed to walk away and say, "Hey, I don't want to be a mom," and they're not going to be held to anything because of it, I think in fairness, you would say, "Well, hey, well, I guess the father should be able to do the same thing, right?" But I also
All
have
right.
another thing that I feel like that provided it's a healthy pregnancy, I do think fathers who do want to keep their child should be able to require you to have the child.
I mean,
And
again, that plays into the fairness because if she's able to have that child and force him to pay, I mean, he should be able, provided he wants the child himself, and she's going to abort it. He should be able to have a say in the courts forcing her to keep that child as well, and maybe just giving the child to him. I agree. That's fair.
Allison says, ejaculate responsibly. It's a book, highly recommended. I agree with that. I do.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Be a much better place. That ties into Jody says, I've always wondered what the population of the world would be if every single baby was planned, or their attitude was, if we get pregnant, it's fine. So interesting to me. I've wondered that too. I think it would be a much better place. And especially if we put you and Allison's comment together, I mean, the world would be great. Be nothing to worry about. Janelli says, so which is it? Is she allowed to protect herself or not? You flipping your decision by saying she has to have a baby, but then saying she needs to protect herself by stopping man from having sex unprotected. I think the protection her protection would be before she allows a man to enter her. That would protect her from any diseases, unwanted pregnancies, right? But once the baby is in your stomach, you have a population of people that are saying, hey, who's going to protect the child or this human life? We say that it is valuable because I understand your body, your choice, but once you've allowed another body to be in your body, it's not just your body anymore. I don't know why people believe that or say that. Once that other baby is in you, you should have a responsibility to look out for it because you put it there, or you allowed it to be put there. It ain't just your body no more. There's something else living and growing inside of you. Eating what
Yeah.
you eat. You know what I mean? If you do drugs, it affects the child and stuff like that. It's not just your body. Hell, when you live in a house with children and kids, it ain't just your house. Other people live there with you. You know, I'm gonna get back into the video.
Yeah, get back into it because I was late as hell.
And Janelle, you were right, man. Don't have to deal with the pregnancy, and
But that's part of my point. That's part of my point. The men doesn't have to deal with the pregnancy. So one would believe that the majority of the reason of the woman protecting herself, it would be on her, especially if you're not in a relationship and you're not married. That's why a lot of people say marry before you carry. So that way the child for the most part will be planned.
yeah, man. Agreed. Oh, I gotta put it back up on the screen.
I'd love to respond.
You
The
don't get
flags
to-
are going up, and I'd love to respond before you go.
But my whole point is you have absolutely no idea what people go through.
So I understand you're experiencing, and you're telling me your experience, which is important. Everybody's experience is important.
Absolutely.
A lot of the women that I've had the privilege of talking to, their abortion wasn't yesterday. Their abortion was a couple years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. As you get older, you get more established in your life. You're a young woman.
And I'm
you're
not
figuring out your
saying
life.
that's
Let
not
me
going
just
to
finish
affect me
here.
later down
Let
the
me just
line.
finish
But
it.
what I am
Well,
saying,
that's the key, right? Because we make big decisions, right? Especially when we're young, we can make big decisions. They have an effect down the line. And so my advocacy is saying this is a big decision. This is a human
but is
life.
it your right to make the decision for
Well,
me or to say what
it's-
decision is
it's
right?
not my-
Because God
it's
is the
not-
only one that can actually judge me.
it's-
And based on
to
my
be clear,
beliefs, He's
it's
the only
not
one
my
that's supposed
right
to say
to
it's
tell
right or
you.
wrong
It's not
in my
my
life.
right to tell you what to do with your personal life, but it is the government's
No, it's not.
responsibility
That's
to
not at all.
protect
Not
the
at all.
right to
Not
life
at
of
all. I
every life in
disagree
this
100%
country.
with what you're saying.
Do you want the
because,
government to protect you from being killed?
you know, I
want the
I
government
want
to
God
protect
to
you from-
protect me from everything evil in this world. Absolutely.
Do you want?
But
do you
at the
think
end
you
of
have
the
a
day,
right to
I
life?
can't guarantee that. I can't
But-
guarantee that I'm not going to walk out this door and get shot in the head.
But do you think if
I can't
someone,
guarantee
do you
any of
think
that.
that if somebody tries to do that, you would hope someone would intervene?
Honestly, I'm just going to pray for the best.
Well, I would hope someone would intervene, and I want to live in a country
Honestly, I
where
don't think you would.
there would be a
Because it
penalty
seems
for
like
that
if
person
you
that might
really
hurt
wanted
you.
somebody to intervene with the protection of life, you would be kind of, getting more background on these women and why they do the things that they do.
Well, I think yeah.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm glad they voted her out. That girl said she gonna.
Hi. What's your name? Audrey. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so do you know the number one emotion women get after having an abortion is relief?
Are you referring to the Turnaway study with that
Yes,
information?
I am.
Okay.
All right, here we go. This is the point of the show where I pause to read the Straight Arrow News fact check. Okay, so that's when either one of the people are speaking, they say something, and they fact check it, right? So
Is this the first one?
Nah, is this the first fact check?
Yeah.
No. I read another one earlier.
Okay. Go ahead.
The Turnaway study found that over 95% of women who had an abortion said it was the right decision. However, critics argue the study was flawed as many participants declined interviews and contradictory data was overlooked. So, not much faith in that study.
So the Turnaway study has been heavily debunked because it's done by those that support abortion, and they said they were going to follow 1,000 women to see if there was an abortion regret after their abortions. Only 150 women would complete the study with them. The rest of them dropped off, some of them struggling with issues maybe connected to that abortion, but only 150 completed it. So that's a survey of only 150 women. And again, I think we need to look at women at large and their experiences. And there will be some women who say, well, I feel great. I'm good. This is good. I don't regret it. And then there's a lot of women whose stories aren't being told.
But you don't
who
look at women at large with their
deeply-
experiences.
That's what we do. And those women deeply regret their abortions. They feel scarred by their abortions. Some of them suffer mental health issues afterwards.
That's not true at all.
They're-
95% of people who got abortions said it was the right decision.
You're
for them
referring
in
to the
long term.
Turnaway study, which is
That is
only
a
following
statistic. You could
it's-
search that up.
I think it's better to look at a study like the Medicaid study in California, 200,000 women, not 150 women doing a study with a pro-abortion group. It was a California 200,000 survey of women. Of those that had abortions, they were 150% more likely to commit suicide than those that gave birth and did not have abortions. In Finland, there were 2 studies done of women there that found that women who had abortions had a higher likelihood of committing suicide.
All right, here we go. Another Straight Arrow News fact check. Also, if you need an app to get your news, they claim to be non-biased, right? And Straight Arrow News, I downloaded it. It seems all right so far. Anyway, a study conducted in Finland using data from 1987 to 2012 concluded that women who had an abortion had a 3-fold risk for suicide compared to non-pregnant women.
Suicide than women who did not have abortions. People deserve to know this.
Okay.
Women deserve
Can
to
I
know
talk?
this because when they have an abortion, that's a huge life-altering decision, not just for ending the life of a baby, but it's life-altering for the woman.
It is life altering for the woman because, you know, pregnancy is a big deal. Having a
It
baby,
is a big deal.
having a baby is very, very expensive. And if you're willing to put survivors, children on top of that, and the shame that they have to go through, forcing an 11-year-old to go through a pregnancy, and yes, they're not forced to be a parent, but the adoptive and foster care systems are very, very
So
broken.
my friend Liana Rebeledo, she was brutally in a gang at age 12. She went to the doctor. She found out she was pregnant. She had severe mental health issues, suicidality from the trauma of the right. She goes to the doctor. The doctor says, you're pregnant. And the doctor says, do you want an abortion? And she says, will the abortion take away the trauma of that? The horror I
But
feel in
that's
my
her
body.
choice, though. But that's
and the
her
doctor
choice.
said, let me just finish what she said. And the doctor said, no, it will not. He was honest with her. And she said, why would I take the life of this baby because
But
of the
that's
trauma
her
that I
belief.
endured?
Not everybody will experience.
It's a belief, but it's also a fact that it was a human being inside her. It was an innocent third party because of that.
So
that
every
was perpetrated upon her.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
I think people just need a little bit of fairness and kindness in their heart when having these conversations, because no 2 stories are the same. You know, it was this girl. I remember it was this girl I met through a mutual friend, and I remember being on the phone with her, right? And I did not like the way she spoke to her daughter at all. I mean, she was very cruel to her. And it was so bad to the point where I said, you know what? I'm not going to talk to her anymore. So I'm on the phone with my homegirl, the one that introduced me to her. And she's like, well, how things with you and so and so? And I said, man, I ain't talking to her no more, dog. Like, she crazy. I said, yo, you hear the way she talked to her daughter? And what I found out was that child was a child she had that was a product of sexual assault. And I guess looking at that child reminded her of what happened to her, you know. So I don't know. I appreciate her telling the story about the young lady, the young girl. She was brave and decided to keep her child, but you got to wait years to see the consequence of something like that.
Hi, what's your name?
Jax Prince. Nice to
Jax,
meet you.
nice
I know I keep pausing. I'm just telling you right now, crash out alert. Crash out alert.
to meet you. I'm Lila.
So, based off
This should
you've
be
given
funny.
incredible points, genuinely and truly, I'm learning quite a bit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, for the people that you say have the abortion young, how old do I look out of curiosity?
You're never supposed to answer that, right?
No, go ahead. By all means.
Will you tell me you'll do me if I do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
deal.
All right. You are 25.
I appreciate that. Add about 10 more years. So,
Okay.
by
You
your
look awesome.
thank you.
You look amazing.
By your logic, I should be in that age range of people who abort, let's say, you know, who should be feeling the regret and everything. If I had carried to term, I would be labeled a drug-addicted Black mother. And if I had kept the baby, I would have been labeled a incompetent single mother. So my question for you is, what is your perception of how I should feel about my abortion?
So a couple things. First of all, sometimes the regret happens later in life. It's not within even 5 or 10 years. The trauma they feel might come out later when they have their own other children or grandchildren. So every woman, it's going to be different. Sometimes it's immediate. Sometimes it takes years. I mean, I think you're amazing. I think if that's what you've overcome in your life, I think that's incredible. And you should be proud of overcoming so many tough things in your life. It does break my heart that if you're sharing you had an abortion, that there could be a child, I don't know how old they'd be, 10 years old today, who would be cheering you on saying, go get him, mom, you got this.
I can promise you that would not be the case, because I can almost promise you that would not be the case, because I say again, I'm in a domestic violence shelter. I've got a dog I can barely take care of. You're you're expecting me to sit here and let you tell me how I'm supposed to feel. You're trying to scare me.
I'm not telling you how to feel.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Not telling you how to feel.
With your statistics,
but I am telling you that your baby,
your statistics and your information, with your statistic and your information,
your baby had a right to live.
You are completely wrong. Because
and I wish someone had been helping you more. That's the other thing.
Listen, but you weren't there. That's just it. Everybody always likes to say, "Oh, keep the baby, give it up for adoption." I know what our foster care system is like.
But when you
can't tell me I would have a child cheering me on.
When you place a child for adoption,
hold on. You're not going to
go into foster care.
You don't get to speak for my child. You don't get to speak for my child. Let's start right there. You don't get to speak for my child saying, oh, mommy would be cheering you on or everything like that. You don't fucking know that. You don't know that at all. You don't know what my child would be. I may not even have my child because I was so unfit at the time. Drug addiction, sex work, everything like that. Yes, I'm a proud pro-ho. That is exactly what I do. But you're telling me how my child would feel. And what gives you the right? What gives you the right? What gives you the right?
I would love to respond to you. I think, yes, your child had a right to life. And I would say that I wish there were more people helping you at the time. It sounds like you were at a really rough time in your life. And I think that you mattered, that baby mattered, and you both deserve more help. That's what I would say.
That's what you would say. But you're saying my child be cheering me on.
I would hope that if you chose to parent.
That's the thing. You just said you would hope.
I would hope
that. You would hope. So all of this is going off of hope.
Please return to your seat.
All righty. Crash out. Hey, man, we got a lot of people in the building, 70 people in here. Could we get those likes up? I believe it's in portrait mode. All you got to do is double tap your screen. Show your boy some love. Okay? Don't treat me like your porn search history and hide me, no secret bookmarks. Okay? Thumbs up the video would be most appreciated. What do you think about that crash out right there?
Straight up diabolical. The fact that she has that type of history, but then tells somebody in the same breath that you can't speak for her child or says how her child felt, or you can't speak for her child is just straight up diabolical. You had that kind of life. I'm pretty sure anybody can say that. Excuse me. I'm sure anybody can say that your child felt some kind of way.
Bless you.
Thank you. I'm pretty sure anybody with a brain can say your child felt neglected. Your child probably felt, depending on how old your child was, your child probably felt unloved. Your child felt some type of way. I'm more than sure.
Dawn says, wow, she's full of anger. I hope she does get help. I do. But you know what, though? I think she did a good job proving the point that it didn't make your life better. And you're still scarred from it, getting rid of the child. You don't get to speak for my child. You don't hold on. You don't get to tell me you killed the child, with all due respect. I ain't gonna tell
right.
I speak about it.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, for you to say that in the same breath, like that's your thought process behind it. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it almost makes zero sense. I mean, in the cusp of the conversation, it makes sense, but given that's her thought process, it's almost asinine.
Insane. Tree Ninja says the problem is if you can't survive a year without an abortion, you have self-control issues like a heroin addict. I can agree with that, definitely. Cores, Michael. What's up, Cores, man? I ain't seen you in a while. Says, I see why she was in domestic violence. Loud and rude is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Well, Marcus said, I agree with you, Tree Ninja. Yeah, man, you definitely got a problem if you can't go a whole year without one. I don't know how that lady sat there. I couldn't have sat there while she yelling at me like that. I'm like, bitch, you better get hit again.
Yeah. It was definitely that was definitely disrespectful to be on this type of platform and not being able to hold your tone of voice.
Yeah, insane.
Hello, what's your name?
Miriam.
Miriam, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I just want to start off, and you're saying that a lot of women have abortion regret, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to tell you about what happened to my best friend's mom. She had a late-term abortion, which I know you don't find morally acceptable, but her
How far
baby,
along was she?
I'm not sure the exact week, but she was told that her child would not live for more than 1 hour. However, if she gave birth to that child, she would never be able to have children again. That is literally what they told her. I'm so glad that she was able to get an abortion because my best friend wouldn't be alive if her mother wasn't able to have an abortion before she was even born. So I just yeah, there are some women who regret abortions, but we shouldn't just ban all abortions because of some of those women regretting it.
So
there are many women.
I'd love to respond. I've heard so many stories of medical professionals who tell the woman, you have to have an abortion, X, Y, and Z is their opinion, right? And then I talk to many other, and I talk to many other medical professionals. If I can finish, I talk to many other medical professionals who say, if you have a high-risk pregnancy or there's a disability that the baby has, there is healthcare for you to protect both your life and the baby's life. That's what women deserve. They don't deserve to be told by the abortionist or the doctor, just kill this baby. That's the solution, have the abortion. So we can do better for both the mom and the baby.
But isn't she protecting
Dr. Anthony,
life?
just as an example, Dr. Anthony Levatino, he worked with tens of thousands of high-risk pregnancies in upstate New York, dealing with these very high-risk pregnancies. He said in the number of pregnancies where we had to do an abortion was 0. Sometimes we would have to do an early delivery, but we would never have to intentionally kill the baby to deal with the health risk for the mother.
So medically necessary, right?
So correct. And so as an example, your friend, right? You said she had a late-term abortion because her baby had a health issue and was going to die, and then otherwise she would have an issue. The doctor and Dr. Anthony Levatino, as an example, could have done an early delivery to give that baby a chance at life instead of intentionally killing that baby in
I don't
utero,
understand how you can sit here across the table.
There are thousands of medical
and
professionals who fight for both the life of the baby and the mother.
Tell me what my best friend's mother could have had done to her.
She deserved better medical care. She deserved better medical care than what she was told. That was unfair and wrong what she was told. And she wasn't given a choice.
She was given a choice.
No, they told her you're going to die. They told her you have to have this abortion. That's what they told her.
Informing her medically, she cannot deliver children if she had not had that abortion.
Did you know that?
So why do you think that she should have a
just to be clear, in a late-term abortion, you have to remove the baby, right?
Yes.
And what is the difference between a late-term abortion where you remove the baby dead and an early delivery where you can remove the baby alive? One is an abortion and one is a life-saving act. What she deserved was a life-saving act for both her and that baby. And an early delivery could have been what she needed.
I agree, because she wanted that child.
I'm over kind of joked out too.
She froze up. She said, "Okay, answer this, Sherlock. What's the difference taking the baby out early alive and then waiting later to just take it out dead? Like, I don't get it. What was their answer for that? They don't want to listen. I think it's kind of like you ever tried to help a friend out? Like, man, your insurance is really screwing you over, man. They're charging you too much. But people are more embarrassed, right? So they don't want to admit it and make the change. And so it's like they're fighting, like, no, they didn't lie to me. They didn't lie to me. It's like, yeah, they lied to you.
I've been there. Legit. I've been there. Matter of fact, currently my insurance sucks, as a matter of fact. If I'm being perfectly transparent.
You say what?
If I'm being perfectly transparent, my insurance sucks right now, actually. waiting to open enrollment, getting on my wife insurance.
I'm gonna try to help you out, man. Just take this right now. No, my insurance was terrible. I got my wife's insurance. Fuck that.
Oh yeah, that's what's about to happen. My wife worked for the state, so I'm about to be well taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, Tree Ninja, they think they own the life in the womb. That's not a separate body or a separate life to them, you know. Yeah. Shout out to Susan Tucker, pro-life, always, every day, all lives matter. Shout out to you. Appreciate you coming through. Appreciate you all.
Child,
And that's why it's devastating that they told her that. It's wrong that they told her that.
No, but they were right.
No, how can you say that when there are
Because I know
there's thousands of medical professionals who say that abortion is not medically necessary. It's not my opinion. It's thousands of medical professionals who say that.
That's time.
I appreciate that, but you're not a doctor and you weren't her doctor.
There's thousands of medical professionals who say you can care for both mother and baby.
That's fine, but it's you.
Can doctors be wrong?
Doctors can be.
Could her doctor have been wrong? My next claim is abortion cannot be justified under any circumstance.
Can't wait to hear this one.
Hi, great to meet you, Lila.
Nice to meet you. What was your name?
Mason.
Mason, nice to meet you.
So a couple things. First, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to make a lot of assumptions about your organization. I don't know the specifics, but when you say alternatives to abortion, I assume that you're saying philanthropic assistance when it comes to helping people with pregnancy or start families. Is that true?
Yeah, promoting options that are not killing the baby, basically. So
okay, well,
that could be
without that moral language,
baby, adopting the baby.
Yeah, and I think that's valuable to a lot of people, especially if they don't have the economic means in order to start a family. So I want to commend you on that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the policy proposals that you propagate as an organization, I would say that those don't help anybody, especially when it comes to just adding punitive measures.
Are you familiar with our policy proposals? Because we support making birth free. Do you support making birth free?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Do you support access to contraception?
We support more cash credits for families who have kids so that they can invest back into their families and better take care of their kids. So part of what we do on the public policy side, it's smaller than our educational efforts, is supporting
I won't just criticize all of the policies then. I'll specifically
Mm-hmm.
criticize the ones that are punitive measures against women or against doctors who are facilitating this type of reproductive health care. That's not something that's going to help people.
Here's a question for you.
Unfortunately, and I'm assuming that there's a lot of ideological similarities with a lot of other conservative movements. So when it comes to things like gun rights, what I hear so much from conservatives.
Oh man, that's what's up, man. Shout out to my brother, Mr. Marcus Banks. Much respect to you, Mr. Diabolical, for always bringing real subject matter to the forefront. Man, I appreciate you doing that, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Real talk.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that, man. That is much appreciated. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Always coming through, man. Always coming through, always showing support, man. I appreciate that a lot.
Need to get you a soundboard for when somebody don't need drop a bomb or something.
I do, man. That's what I need. That's exactly what I need.
Guns are something that's a necessary evil. If there was a world where we could get rid of all guns, that would be awesome. It's just one thing where there are going to be bad people with guns. And in order to counteract that, you're going to need good people with guns. And I would say the same thing for abortion. I think in an ideal world, we wouldn't have any abortions. Unfortunately, the reality of the situation is it's going to exist, whether or not that it's legal and can have safe actual procedures, or it's going to happen in the alleyways where it is going to damage women. So to continue to advocate for punitive measures, and I'll let you speak after this, I think that does more harm to women at large than it does to help protect the unborn life.
Here's a question for you. Do you think that it is always wrong to kill an innocent person, an innocent human?
I would say the intentional killing of somebody who is innocent is something that we should advocate against. What I will say, though, is
what is an abortion in your view?
One sec, I got to finish my point.
Okay.
What I will say is the rights of people's bodily autonomy is something that supersedes the preservation of life, especially when it comes to the government enforcement of that.
Do I have the right as a mother to kill my child?
So I think there are two ways that we determine what rights are in a society, right? It's either we all have rights, and then we decide as a society that there are some actions that we need to restrict just because we live in a social world, or we have no rights and we just have the grace of the government that grants us some rights.
I have a question
What
for you,
I would start is, I think that we do have all rights. I think that we restrict things that would be unnecessary and bad. I wouldn't count somebody's rights to their own bodily autonomy as something that we need to restrict.
So it sounds like you're making the argument that dependency means that a mother should have the child to should have the right to end the life of her child.
I wouldn't say dependency because I'm sure
the
you're.
child's dependent on her body, right? That's what you're saying.
I'm assuming you're
The
going to go into like a
dependency.
toddler's dependent in order to be fed by their parents.
A newborn is totally dependent on their parents,
but it doesn't rely.
We can never end the life of a newborn.
I know, but it doesn't rely on the specific bodily functions
but it
of
fully
somebody.
relies on the functions of everybody else.
Well, no, because you can opt out. You can give that to an adoption
agency. A newborn baby
agency.
relies on the functions of other adults,
right,
for sure.
But it doesn't have to deal with that biological mother. The mother can't put it up for adoption if they don't have the means in order to take care of it.
So what you're saying, let me make sure I say it back to you. You're saying the biological mother has the right to end the life of her biological child, but somebody else who's not biologically connected could end the life of a young child that's totally dependent on them physically.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Then what are you saying?
Well, you like to go into a lot of biology. Do you know what an FMT is?
Tell me.
So it's a fecal microbacterial transfusion. It's necessary for people who don't have proper intestinal responses for immune disorders. And what it is basically a transfusion of someone else's feces into that person. What's funny to me? What's funny to me is we don't enforce people in order to like collect their own poop in order to preserve life. So it's funny that we protect the sanctity of people's poop over people's wombs and uterus.
But like the womb is designed for a baby, right?
Not all wombs can deliver babies.
Wombs are designed for babies.
Not all wombs.
What else are they designed for?
I hate to do it, guys.
Okay.
I hate interrupting you, but it's the only way to keep the
no worries.
Rotating.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thank you.
He kind of folded on his own argument. I mean, he fell back and depended on adoption.
Yeah, I'm actually disappointed because he was doing good. I'm actually disappointed.
He gets on my nerves. He's on a lot of them. I have to see him. Susan Tucker says, so what are your guys' stance on this subject matter? I think I'm pretty much pro-life, right? However, I believe in balance. So I do think there should be things allowed if it is, because it's not the majority. There are the number is very much smaller for those with sexual assault and health problems and health risks. I think there should be a way for them to get an abortion if they want one.
Yeah, same. I'm pro being fair. If you're gonna be able to get abortions, you should be able, the same way women get abortions, there should be things set in place to where if you can kill it, the man should be able to walk. I'm just in the interest of fairness. That's all.
And you're right, Prince. Sometimes they'll have somebody that's in there that they should probably keep in there a little bit longer, and they're gonna vote him out every time.
Like I even made a comment like prior to him being voted off. Like I said,
oh yeah, I see it right there.
Yeah, I said the people raising up the flags because he was speaking outside emotions, but then sure enough, the emotions came in. I spoke too soon. I got disappointed.
Telling you. All right, let's see.
Damn, they clap for that boy getting voted off.
Alex,
Nice to meet you, Alex.
So your
Why
claim
you
is
running?
that
Nobody
abortion
texting
cannot be justified under any circumstances. Is that right?
Correct.
Well, I want to tell you a story. So I'm from Florida, and I remember when I heard the story of Anya Cook and her husband, Derek, they really wanted to have a baby. And they kept on trying and trying, and they had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage. And then finally, they were able to conceive, and the pregnancy kept going, and they reached 16 weeks, and they were so excited because they were finally going to have a baby. And they went out for dinner to celebrate it. And on the ride back home, Anya felt something going down her leg. And she said, I really hope that's not what I think it is. But it was. And it turned out that her water had broken. She had to go to the emergency room, and they turned her away because even though the pregnancy was completely not viable, and the doctor said, you're going to lose your baby without a doubt 100%. But if we gave you a procedure right now, it would count as an abortion. Under Florida's 15-week abortion ban, this isn't even when they went to the 6-week abortion ban in Florida. This was when it was still 15 weeks. They said this, because you're 16 weeks, that would count as an abortion. We could go to jail. We could lose our medical license. We can't operate on you. So she had to go home with her stillborn baby that she had been so looking forward to having still inside her. And the next morning she felt so sick, and she said that she thought she was going to die, but she wanted to get her hair done first so that her mom didn't have to get her hair done. So while she was at the hairdresser, she felt like something was going to happen. So she got out of the chair, went into the bathroom, and that is when she saw her baby. And she had to call her husband in, and her husband took care of her. And then she was bleeding out all over the floor, everywhere. She ended up losing half of the blood in her body that day. They operated on her for 8 hours, and Derek and all of her whole family was there praying for her the whole time. And miraculously, she survived. But she would not have had to go through that if she was able to get the medical care that she needed. And this is why I think that instead of having the government legislate, oh, abortion should be illegal, except in this case, that case, the other case, it's impossible to have something so black and white as the law legislate something that is so individualized and so complex as every person's experience. And that's why I will always trust a mother and her family to make the right decision for her instead of the government trying to make things so black and white. And that's what abortion bans do. They cause people to get really sick and even die because they're denied the medical care that they need.
Okay, so I'd love to respond. Thank you for sharing the story. Here's the deal. If the baby had passed away, you mentioned the baby was stillborn, or you said that we used the word stillbirth. If the baby was dead, if this was a miscarriage, the baby was dead, it was medical malpractice for the emergency room to turn her away, and she would have had a lawsuit against them. In any pro-life state in the country, any kind of care for miscarriage, to complete a miscarriage if the baby has passed away, is completely legal. And that's actually written in the books. So I think that's a really important point, that medical malpractice unfortunately does happen, and that could have happened in the case.
Abortion bans actually cause doctors to have to do medical malpractice.
There's a lot of narratives
out
there saying that, but that's inaccurate.
Just to justify, if it's this exception or that exception.
There are thousands of medical professionals, including many in pro-life states, who say we are able to do miscarriage care. We're able to deal with
the baby
pregnancies
was still alive.
Completely
She was
under the pro-life
her water
law.
had broken, but her baby was doomed. It was going to die.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Isn't that something like the story we talked about that a couple weeks ago, last week, something like that?
Oh yeah, I read that earlier. Oh yeah, you wasn't in here. They was talking about, we were talking about the abortion pills earlier. It was in the chat. It was me, Marcus, and who else was that? I want to say Jody, right? Jody. I think that's who it was. Yeah. It was Jody was in here talking about that. But we did that story before because they were talking about the abortion bans, and we were talking about the young lady who she was brain dead, but she was pregnant, and so they kept her alive until they could give her C-section to get the baby out. And people were mad, saying like, well, they're using her as a human incubator or whatever, right?
Yeah, I was there for that.
But I'm talking about this time in this live though. I went back over. I went back over the young lady that we ended up talking about in that live when we were covering the lady being brain dead. Her name was Amber Nicole Thurman, and she's the one. And she's the one that went. It was a couple of women, but she's the one that went to South Carolina, North Carolina, or whatever. Got the abortion pills, and the abortion pills caused complications that led to her death. Now, at the time when she went back to Georgia and she went in there, because of the law being passed, the hospital says that, hey, we're not allowed to do anything. And they just try to blame it on the law, try to blame it on the hospital. But ultimately, it's because she went to go get this abortion pill. And that abortion pill does not agree with everyone's body. And and so it came up in this live because one girl was arguing about, hey, if you don't legalize abortion, women are gonna pass away, die, because they're going to be doing illegal abortions. And the lady said, what are you talking about? These women are dying from legal abortions as well.
Correct.
So yeah. Ms. Mark said he remembers that, but yeah, so that came up again in this particular live earlier because abortion pills, and it just reminded me of that young lady that lost her life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because she's the one that has a 6-year-old as well.
Yeah, highly unfortunate.
Yeah.
Hi,
This lady right here scares me.
This is
All right, watch. This lady right here. This lady here scared me, dog. I'm not even.
I can't wait to find out why. Quite honestly, I don't know if that's petty or what, but I can't wait to hear why.
I think it's 2 times that she speak in this live.
my name is Dana Palaban.
Dana, nice to meet you.
So I am the executive director of one of the oldest rape crisis centers here in the nation. And one of the things that I need you to understand is that abortion care is health care for survivors. And it also gives them the options that they need in order to move forward after they have had so many choices that have been taken away from them. So let's remind ourselves that most women who have been assaulted know they're assaulters. 1 in 20 women who have had pregnancies have had pregnancies that result from assault. In addition, 1 in 4 women have had abortions. So these are women who are making these choices because they need to make these choices. And when you say to someone who has already had choices taken away from them, that in addition to, I have had my body violated, I have had my choices taken from me, that I then have to carry a child to birth and then have my life put in danger, and reminding ourselves that as a Black woman, I have a higher rate of death in our society just by birthing. So I'm putting my life in danger just to carry a child that has resulted from an assault. So you cannot tell me that there is no circumstance where I don't make that choice for my body and for the tissues that are in my body. There is always a space for me to make a choice for what is going to happen to my body.
I'd love to respond, if I may. First of all, we are aligned that is absolutely horrific. We're aligned on that. And part of the work at Live Action is we do interview survivors of sexual assault, and we talk to survivors of sexual assault as well as children conceived via sexual assault. That's part of their story. And we're aligned that it's absolutely horrific. Where it sounds like we're not aligned is that I don't believe that 2 wrongs make a right. That if there is a horrific act of an assault, if I may just explain my position here, if there's a horrific act of assault, and a pregnancy results and a new life is conceived, that ending that.
Did you catch that?
No,
Did you catch that?
no, I didn't catch that one. I think my phone was breaking up. Where did she get at with that one?
Here go. This the thing about the red flag, right? They're not all about the conversation. They're all having an emotional response, right? And so when they hear the person say something that they disagree with, their first thought is, you know what? Let me vote the person out. Even if they're doing a good job, let me vote them out because I'm ready to get her a piece of my mind. Watch.
And we talk to survivors of sexual assault as well as children conceived via sexual assault. That's part of their story. And we're aligned that it's absolutely horrific. Where it sounds like we're not aligned is that I don't believe that 2 wrongs make a right. That
right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not that the woman that's on her side, didn't say anything she disagreed with. But this just goes to that thought process. I'm gonna raise the flag, vote her out because I'm ready to tear up and hug her. I can't believe she said that.
As if she herself is gonna say anything that's gonna debunk her or something like that.
I'm telling you. And Tree Ninja, I like what you said. He said when someone tells you that occupation, they're trying to appear like they're better than you, right? So when she announced herself and her credentials, and I get it, but her demeanor is very threatening though, because she's a big woman.
Very.
Yeah.
I caught that.
Yeah. And he says, I hate when someone gets to power man the conversation through assigning themselves an authoritative view based on their occupation. I have a degree. Where's yours? My opinion is right because degree. So yeah, I agree with that. I don't think everybody that announces the occupation does it, but I think it's pretty easy to tell when they're doing it. And that lady, you can tell her occupation also shapes her views and stuff. And you'll I don't want to spoil it. You'll see later because she's going to come back up and talk again.
Well, one
And
thing
if
she
there is a
did say I agreed with was the aspect, well, the concept of the great babies. I do agree with that because I don't think anybody should be forced or want to have to walk around with with that in them. I do agree with that. And I
Yeah.
always said, even with the banning of abortions, that there should be some type of that there should be some type of um um th- um the word is on the tip of my tongue, but there should be something in there. There should be something in the law to where, whether it be a medical thing or grape or something for that matter, to where you should be allowed to get that abortion. So
Yeah, I think
despite me being pro banning abortions, there should be something put in there to where if it's needed, it should be allowed. Period.
I think that's the whole problem with the pro-life and pro-choice. Neither side has found a way to find that in between, that balance. It's always extreme either way, usually. So it's like
Yes.
no abortion at all, and
Right.
and then it's the other side, abortion everything, It's like, come on, where's the balance? And I think if both sides would have found a balance, I don't think you would see strict abortion laws the way that you do, to be honest with you. If there
Oh,
was a
no, no,
healthy
no, no.
balance found, it would not be this way. But this is what happened when people are unwilling to compromise and unwilling to budge. Then it gets to the point where nobody's happy, nobody gets what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Horrific act of an assault. If I may just explain my position here, if there's a horrific act of assault, and a pregnancy results and a new life is conceived, that ending that new life, giving that new human being the death penalty
So what has happened? The only thing that has happened is that there has been a fertilization of an egg.
If I may finish. So as an example, my friend Rebecca Kiesling or my friend Ryan Baumberger, two amazing people, conceived in brutal ways. And they go around and they say, I was that embryo, I was that fetus, I was that unborn baby. Do I not have a right to live? Should I have gotten the death penalty for the crime of my father? One more thing to say
that
here.
mother made a choice. Well, that mother made a choice. I, as a person who has been assaulted, then get to make that choice for my body. And that's the difference. Actually, the difference is I get to choose what happens to my body, because I didn't get to make that choice with that assault. I didn't get to make that choice with that rape, but I do get to make the choice with what happens with that fertilized egg. And that is a problem. And when I am sitting here with a 10-year-old child who didn't have a choice about what happened to her body, to then say, you must carry that child until you give birth, that is unconscionable.
If I can respond with a couple things that are really important, I think. First of all, Rebecca Kiesling, my friend who was conceived in, her mother tried to have an abortion. It was illegal and she couldn't access one. So she ended up placing Rebecca for adoption. And Rebecca goes around and says, what about my right to life? And she ended up meeting with her mother years later. And her mother said, I'm actually glad I wasn't able to end your life.
And I'm glad for Rebecca's mother.
If I can just finish. One of the key things that we need to acknowledge is that abortion isn't something that's going to heal. Abortion does. Abortion does. I'd love to respond to you. I'd love to just have a moment. Abortion can add trauma. It's another act of violence.
It does not add trauma. There is no evidence that abortion adds trauma.
If I may respond, in the state of California, 200,000 Medicaid patients, women, 150% more likely to commit suicide for those that had an abortion. If I may just
there
finish,
is
then
no
those that
medical
gave
evidence.
birth.
There is no psychological evidence.
There have been a lot of studies that have been done that show that
absolutely
abortion
not. There
can
is
be profoundly
correlation.
traumatizing.
There is actually correlation to the trauma of having to carry the birth to term. There is correlation to the.
All right, it's that time. Straight Arrow News came through with another fact check. It says the NIH research found that 1 in 3 women experience a highly stressful or potentially traumatic birth. It's just all trauma. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. When she told the story about the 10-year-old girl, I kind of folded there. That would change my mind right there. So I don't know.
The trauma of the stigma
Hey,
early
Shmaeli.
of
delivery
abortion.
might be the right decision because keep in mind.
Yeah.
That go back to that comment.
How far?
The one before mine.
Oh.
What if?
Oh yeah. I was reading that. Yeah.
What if? I mean, we probably would have. Oh man, we probably would have a lot of a lot of more decent kids in the world. A lot of better off adults. That's kind of touchy. But what if?
Yeah, but I think they would still say it's their body though. And so it was still
True.
an issue. I think it's just a control thing. I think that they want control over that life. You know, and
So
I think
is it?
that's all it's about.
So does it really boil down to just? Does it really boil down to just it being a control thing, or does it really have to do with the upbringing of the child at that point?
No, I think it's just control.
Because
Either control that life or to control their own life. You know, things are going to always happen in life to make your life harder, and you're going to have to do what you got to do to work hard to get out of whatever situation it is, you know. So you know, the same thing go with having a child. I think it's about people wanting to control their life.
all
And
right,
so even or control that life, because even if the father says, hey, well, look, if you have the child, don't worry, you can give up your rights, I'll take care of the kid, you know, they still won't do it.
right.
They still won't do it. You can have a family sitting by here waiting. Hey man, you know, if you had a child, I'll take care of it. You don't have to worry about it. You'll be, you know, the baby be fine, you'll be fine, no stress, no work. And they still say, nope, I'm making this choice.
Right.
And I think ultimately a lot of women feel like that. If the baby's not with them, then there's nobody else that can take care of that child. It's very possessive nature.
Though we see that every day in custody battles.
Yeah, it's very possessive nature. I've seen stories of women, like they had that woman that drowned her children. Those kids had a father that loved them, always was, you know, getting them, picking them up. And the father really wanted custody of those kids. She wanted to run off and be with her boyfriend. She could have easily took those kids and dropped them off with their father. And you know what she did? Nope. If I'm not raising them, nobody is. Took them out.
Oh, I seen a news report where a mother legit lost custody of her child, and she drowned the child, and the father was just left high and dry. He won custody, had custody. She was due to surrender the child to him, and she unsubscribed the kid from life.
Yep. I'm telling you.
Now go back to my
possession.
Now go back to my comment. Don't she sound like a very mean Felicia Rashad from Cosby Show?
Oh yeah.
I was trying to put my finger on it who she sound like.
Me too. I was trying to figure out why she's so familiar. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, why is she so familiar? I couldn't quite put my finger on it.
Felicia Rashad was the closest thing I could get.
Yeah, I was like, something about her stood out to me. And I was like, maybe it's just because she's big, she's kind of hunched over, she's talking softly to the lady, but in a very I don't care what nobody says. It sounds threatening to me.
Very intelligent, but mean as hell.
Yeah. I gather from her that she's been through a lot in her life, and while working where she's worked, she would have seen a lot, and I just think, quite honestly, she's just not going to move. She's not going to be open-minded about this. She's seen too much, and to be honest, regardless of what I believe in, I couldn't blame nobody for that.
I mean, yeah, like you said, given where she came from, what it is she does for a living, yeah, she's not. Yeah, she's closed-minded on this. She's not moving at all, and I can see why, but she won't even let the woman. She won't even let the woman talk.
Yeah, they won't. But it's gonna be like that when it's a hot topic. It's kind of like when we on Clubhouse. Ain't nobody. It's kind of like when you really care about a subject. It's like, and you're debating too. It's like you always got something extra to say. Like always. Yeah. Tree Ninja, they do need to. If there was a technology to raise a baby from 2 weeks outside the mother, they would still choose to abort. I think so. I do. I think it's about control. I really do. He says someone should invent that technology, $1 billion idea right there. I don't think they'll take advantage of it. Even if they've been thinking about aborting and they say, well, hey man, we got this machine here, you ain't got to abort. You can just we just separate you from the baby. They will not do it. They won't.
I guarantee y'all, in 20 years, once this baby stuff, this abortion stuff, once this gets completely out of hand, I guarantee y'all somebody create that technology. And it's going to be somebody of the intelligence of an Elon Musk, and it's going to be black. I guarantee you. It's going to be somebody that's black, but with the intelligence of Elon Musk. Guarantee it.
You think they're going to take advantage of it, though?
Hell no.
You know who would end up taking advantage of it?
White women.
Well, perhaps, but I was thinking more so people that want to have children but want to keep their body and lower the chances of passing away giving childbirth. I would think that's some wealthy married couples would take advantage of that.
Exactly, white women.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Any black woman in the comment, I'm so sorry, but it is what it is. I'm sorry. That wasn't a jab to any of you. It really wasn't, but it is what it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's who's gonna take advantage of it. But I think the ones that agree with abortion, I think they're gonna stay on their same path. To be honest with you.
Yep.
Yep. Says women who are the fence for religion.
Oh well, no, that's Spanish women right there now.
Yeah, I think it said a lot of black people, which was very surprising for us because we was so religious, back in the day. But they said like a lot of us now are not religious anymore. So,
yep.
And you can tell that just from being on Clubhouse.
Ooh, well, who you telling?
Let's see.
What is an abortion? It's the forced birth of a dead fetus or embryo. An abortion is the forced birth of a dead baby.
An abortion is an actual medical procedure to remove tissue from your body so that you
What kind of tissue is being removed in an abortion?
Fetal tissue.
Of what? Of what? Of a what?
Of a fetus.
Of a fetus. And what is a fetus?
What is a fetus? A fetus could grow to be a live birth.
So is a fetus alive?
Not necessarily.
If the fetus is dead, why do you have to have an abortion?
Well, you have to have an abortion to remove the fetus
If the
from your
fetus
body.
is already dead, I have no problem with removing a
Well,
dead baby.
as you
But
saw with
if the baby's
with
alive, what is the fetus alive when you're doing an abortion, an elective abortion?
So sometimes the fetus is not alive when you do an elective
So
abortion.
we would agree then that would be a miscarriage, and we are
No,
both
no,
fine with that.
absolutely
if the baby
not.
has
We
already
don't.
passed away.
Absolutely not.
So
because there
just
are
to
there
be
are
clear,
times.
I am only against an abortion that is intentionally taking the life of an innocent human. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm
Lila.
Ceci.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So your claim is
Here go Miss Attitude.
that there's no right for abortion under any circumstance at all, which obviously I disagree with because
And I'll just define abortion really quick, just for clarity, because it was
you don't really need to for me.
the intentional killing of a living,
Whatever you want to call it. I
unborn
don't
baby.
disagree with it. Anyway, so my point though is that there should be exception. I mean, I think you should be able to get it if you want one, but
under any
for
circumstances.
the 10-year-olds that are raped, which that 10-year-old in Ohio who was raped by her father, then was told she couldn't have an abortion, had to go to a different state. So you're more than comfortable with holding down a 10-year-old once again to make her do something with her body she doesn't want to do.
So an abortion.
Do you hear the what do they call it, being disingenuous, correct?
Yeah.
Does she really think, and shout out to Mr. Marcus Banks, man. Appreciate you, brother. You think that we're where we at? We did the numbers on it. Me and Pretty Kelly was in a room one day and we were discussing this topic. When you do the numbers, because I know someone was talking about femicide, and I know for amongst black women in America, it was a black woman every 4.5 hours, right? And when you do the numbers in your head when you're talking about the population of black women, is is less than 1%. It really is, because if you do how many hours in a year and do the math on it, right?
Correct.
But when you do abortions, it's literally one every like 2 seconds. Are we there because of 10-year-olds that need abortions? Because I think if it was only about the 10-year-olds, I don't think people would be marching and yelling. And
No, absolutely not. That many 10-year-olds are not getting pregnant willy-nilly. That many 10-year-olds are not being raped willy-nilly and becoming no.
I'm trying to be serious, but Tree Ninja.
What's your name?
Yeah, I can't leave that up too long. But
did you enjoy it though? No, I'm sorry.
He enjoyed it. It turned consensual somehow.
Log off. We're not doing this no more.
I need to stop because YouTube has done that where my page just go it just shut down. And the last time it shut down, Marcus was in the chat like, "Are we still here? Are we still live?"
Wait, hold on now. Last time, wait, it did that one time with us. I was still on stream though, talking to my damn self. I was like,
oh yeah, you too. Yep. Yeah, you was there. I was like, man, I'm glad you still here. Yep. Mr. Marcus says, big facts, Mr. Diabolical, one abortion every 2 to 3 minutes. I think this number is astronomically high. Yep.
It is.
Tree Ninja says, I'm sorry, there was more to that, but it sent too fast.
Oh, all right, gotcha. All right.
That's
all right.
cool. It's a safe space.
Phone won't let you be great. We got it.
Yeah. Yeah, but this girl, I can't believe it. You go to these exceptions and these outliers, and come on, man. People are not trying to stop 10-year-old victims. Like, come on, man. That is not what anybody is doing.
Yeah, but it's
Marcus
crazy.
said we left him here by himself. Yeah.
but that goes to show the lengths some of these people will go through to try and get their point across, or to try to feed a narrative. It's scary.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. But and she knows what she's doing. Yeah, and that's what makes these conversations so hard, is because we can't really ever get to like, how do we really feel about this? Why do we want this? Why do we need this? Because you make us argue things that nobody is really arguing.
Right.
Oh man. Kiana says, I had to stop being friends with a girl when I found out she had 12 abortions and have 5 kids.
Jesus, God, dog.
That's a lot.
I need her to type in the chat again. How old is this person, or how old was she at that time? I need to know, because I have a follow up jab to this.
Let's see. All right, True Ninja came back and he said, LOL, it was a serious statement. This chick essayed me. When I told everyone, they made fun of it, pretended it wasn't possible to be reversed. So I hate the great question comes in about abortion. Oh, okay. My bad, man, bro. We didn't
Oh
mean.
yeah, most definitely.
Let's see. And Kiana says that was 2 years, and we are 29. That's a lot.
So she would have been 27 with 12 abortions and 5 kids. Glad y'all not friends, because your ex friend ain't shit. That is insane.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. Let me send this thing. Yeah, that's a lot by the age of 29. That's unfathomable. Like,
Yes, that is. I could see if you would have said your ex friend was 5 and 5. You know, she had 5 kids and 5 abortions. You know, she 5 and 5. 12 and 5. God damn. Her vagina is a graveyard. Her vagina is no man's land.
yeah.
Her vagina is a petri dish. You playing Russian, any man playing Russian roulette screwing her. Good Lord.
Yeah, that's just sad. To be honest, that's sad. I wonder how that would affect. Like, would you still be able to have kids after that?
Probably not. If I'm being honest.
I don't know how you get up to that. Man, that's a lot. Yeah.
Marcus says she woke me up. Oh no, Marcus. Oh no, Marcus Base, bro. I've been woke. I just try to keep a filter on this man channel. Rest assured.
Yeah, she said the last day we spoke, she was leaving the clinic from the 12th. That is a lot.
That is sad. Your friend, your ex-friend should be ashamed of herself.
I don't know where y'all get this stuff from. He says her vagina is the witch's cauldron of. Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. Let me get back to this video.
That girl vagina is an ant pile after you pour water in it. Just everybody dead.
Oh man, Kiana, we appreciate your integrity, man.
Definitely.
Definitely do.
Look, Kiana said that that's what I thought. So she ghosted. Oh, you ghosted, all right. Oh, you definitely ghosted. So did them other 12 children. Bro, play the video, man, because I could do this all. Play the video. Play the video. Play the video.
Abortion is another act of violence in my view, both of that baby and of a survivor. I think this view that we have that abortion is somehow going to heal
Even
a
if
rape
that
survivor
10-year-old is crying and begging you, I don't want to give birth. I don't want to carry it for 9 months. I don't want to be a
I think
mom.
she deserves the best support and care. She needs to be taken out
And
of
the
that
best support
abusive
and care would be
situation.
health care, and in this case would be an abortion.
But we can't take the
I mean,
life
we're
of an
not
innocent
just
child.
talking.
I think in
But
that case,
you
an
are
early
putting
delivery.
empathy-
If I can
you're
just finish.
No, you're affording more empathy toward a zygote more than you are a living, breathing 10-year-old who just went through something seriously traumatizing.
So
your empathy is in a place I don't understand.
If I can respond.
Now you can, absolutely.
So is absolutely horrific. Incest is absolutely horrific. We are completely aligned in that. We need more penalties for abusers. I think one of the things that I have about that case that I've seen is there's no story about what happened to her abuser. Was she protected from her abuser? It's like that's left out of the narrative.
Her father.
I mean, but what
I've heard you say before,
has she
though,
been
we
protected?
shouldn't punish a child for what you called generational sin.
But if I can finish.
But which child are you not? Which child do you want to
gotta let me make
punish?
the case.
Is my
You gotta let me
question.
make the case. You gotta
Well,
let
you're
me.
worried about punishing a child, but which one? The 10-year-old who was already punished?
Can I respond?
Now you can.
In a case of incest and there's a new life that's been conceived, there's another human being now we're talking about. It's not just the abuser and the victim. There's another potential victim.
There's a zygote.
And we need to care for both. They're both human beings. And in
They're
the
not
case
yet.
of a very young girl who's been the victim of a horrific assault, the idea—
You want to hold her down again.
The idea, well, in an abortion, you're literally held down and you have to submit your body to an act that will
That
deliver
she would
a
want
forced
to have
child.
done
Well, you're
rather
speaking
than the
for her.
other.
You're speaking for her right now.
No. We're talking about the 10-year-old who wanted to get that abortion.
But the point here is that there are human rights now in play for an unborn child and a born child. They both have rights. And I think the medical care is very key, as well as the counseling and the support that she deserves. And probably an early delivery would be what would be necessary to protect her health and to make sure that the baby would have a chance to live. But at the end of the day, you don't give the death penalty to the baby because they were conceived by a rapist, because their father is an abuser. We don't even give the death penalty in this country to rapists. Were you aware of that?
My question for
you can't even get the death penalty for. Why would we be okay with giving the death penalty to a child because they're conceived in rape?
It's not a child.
What are they?
It's a
in your view?
zygote. It's
What
an
is
embryo.
what
it's
is
a
an
fetus.
embryo? What is
and
an
I'm not
embryo?
going to get into the science behind it because the thing
You don't
now
think the science
is
matters?
Not in this argument right
So
now.
you don't
because you think there's no right for an abortion for any reason,
But that's
there
because the
definitely
science.
are.
That's
like
if I
Nancy
can just
Davis in
respond.
Louisiana,
If I can
who
just respond.
her child is going to be born with a crania, meaning without a skull. You thought, and you said this to her, you said, I think your child should have died in the loving arms of their parents instead of at the tools of the abortionist. Now, this woman was going to give birth to a child that will die within minutes of being born. So you're not bringing life into the world.
Do you
at
know
that
what,
point.
you know what
So
abortion
why
procedure
would
would
you
have been
say
done on
something
her
like
baby?
that?
Do you know what abortion procedure would have been done on her baby? In a later term abortion that she had in the second
An
trimester.
emergency
if
abortion.
I can just complete my sentence here. Either there would have been a lethal injection of that baby to kill that baby, or that would have been a live dismemberment of that baby. Those are the abortion procedures used in the second or the third trimester.
And you don't think either one should have been
But you
used?
support that? Do you support that? Thank you.
Hello, Christine.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. You're very brave.
You are too.
So I would like to ask you, so I believe in abortion at all levels whenever the person chooses, but I would like to ask you why you think the attention and responsibility and all the shame that you guys give to people that get abortions instead of the father. Like, why are we spending so much time on punishing the woman or the person that got pregnant and not the person that made them pregnant when they can control when they ejaculate? Women can't control when we ovulate. So really, if you want to have responsibility, it should be with the person who fathered the child.
I think you're totally
How does she know we can't control? Sometimes it just happens.
right that men bear equal responsibility for any pregnancy. And I would say it's equal. It takes two to make the baby. And I think
Not always.
men,
Sometimes you get held against your will.
Well, in that case, yes, it's even more horrific, and the man not only is responsible, but he should be put in jail. I mean, that's even a horrific situation, right?
So we're not used your efforts for that.
But I think, I'm not sure how familiar you are with our work, but a lot of our work includes reporting on women who are being coerced into having abortions by men who would not take responsibility for that baby that was conceived.
But that's completely
because
separate.
A lot of men, especially abusive men, they see their subject of abuse, that woman, if she gets pregnant, or that girl, if she gets pregnant, they see that as something in the way of them being able to continue to abuse and use her. They don't want her to be pregnant. And so one of the research reports that we've done shows that in the life of a sex trafficking victim, she'll have up to at least one and up to multiple forced abortions in her life because her pimp doesn't want her to be pregnant because he can't monetize her, basically. So this is some of the horrific underside of the abortion industry, that they actually profit off of coerced abortions.
But again, you're shaming
rape-based
women,
abortions,
you're shaming
trafficked
people
victims
who
abortions.
are pregnant and not the perpetrators.
What do you mean by shaming?
You're the one that was saying that women or people that get pregnant are not making decisions that are right for their own bodies. You're empathizing them, and then you're also not putting responsibility on people that actually caused the situation.
Well, if it's a rapist, we are in full, I think we're probably in full agreement that they should be held fully criminally responsible and put in jail for the rest of their life, in my view.
It's fun to say that, but the conservatives do not act like that. They act like it's entirely women's responsibility.
Well, I can only speak for myself here and my organization. And we work with liberals, we work with conservatives, we work with Republicans, we work with Democrats. So we're a nonpartisan organization.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
They got her out of there.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment to say thanks so much to Straight Arrow News for powering the fact checks in this video. Straight Arrow News is an app and website that is on a mission to raise the bar on journalism in a time of media bias and mistrust. Their team of journalists believe that unbiased news should be the standard and not just the exception. So they report down the middle with facts, delivering news without bias, filter, or spin. Plus, their Media Mist tool allows you to discover news that's being underreported or not even reported at all by different sides of mainstream media. That's why we're so happy to be partnering with Straight Arrow News. The work they're doing gives us a complete picture of the news straight from our phones and tablets with their app. Go to sjan.com/surrounded or click the link in the description to check it out. By clicking that link, you're not just supporting this channel, you're also supporting a group of journalists that are raising the bar on news and focusing on serving you unbiased, straight facts. Thanks again to Straight Arrow News for partnering with us on this episode. Now let's get into it.
My next claim is every unborn child has the right to life.
Oh, this should be good.
All right. Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Adam.
Adam, nice to meet you.
Likewise. So when you say a child, I feel like you're kind of like preemptively loading the prompt with a lot of emotions. A child implies a person, and I don't believe personhood begins until around 22 weeks of gestation, when, if you want to get into neuroscience, the thalamus connects to the cortex and the brain finally has the capacity to support a subjective experience. So why do you think that a fetus at 10 weeks, 8 weeks, for example, that has no capacity to be self-aware, to experience pain or anything else, should be valued equal to the bodily autonomy of a woman?
Okay. So a few questions for you to get to answer that.
Yeah.
Do you believe that a human fetus is a human?
It's a human, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your argument is that some humans don't have human rights, because my argument is that every human has a human right.
Sure.
And
This is,
first
again,
right is life.
this is getting into semantics, like the colloquial way we use the word human versus maybe a more scientific way. So obviously, a fertilized egg and beyond has human cells. The question is, when we talk about protecting that life, when does it become on the same level as the life of the mother who has bodily autonomy? And the answer there is 22 weeks, because again, prior to that, there's nothing, the car is on, but there's no driver in the car. And you don't apply traffic laws to an empty car, right? There has to be a subject present. It can't be a something, it has to be a someone.
So does a newborn baby have the same capacity, brain abilities as a 3-year-old?
No.
And does
it has the same capacity for consciousness, though, because the thalamus and cortex are connected.
So you're defining human life as consciousness. That's your definition.
Yeah,
of
the
human
ability
life.
to have a subjective experience, consciousness, sure.
So if someone is unconscious, are they no longer a human?
They still have connections with their thalamus and cortex, whether they're under general anesthesia, whether they're asleep, whether
if
they're in a coma,
you would say they're still a human.
They still have the neural pathways connecting those parts of the brain.
If you're an unborn child before you've developed your brain fully, right? Because we all started life before our brain was developed, right? And then eventually after a few weeks, we would develop our brain and then develop more capacities with our brain.
Yeah.
But that child, before it has developed its brain, has the natural capacity for a brain, because that's what will happen if no one kills that child.
When you say
first.
before it's developed a brain, do you mean prior to 22 weeks?
Prior to 22 weeks.
So,
and there are parts of, a lot has happened in the brain activity even before 22 weeks.
Also, I do want to point out that we do have laws for empty cars, like illegal parking, abandoned vehicle laws, and leaving a car running unattended. So, yeah, if you leave your car in front of a fire hydrant, the laws will be applied to that empty car.
I'm sure you know.
Sure, but it's not sufficient to support a subjective experience. And when you talk about prior to 22 weeks, I would agree a potential life has some value, but it's not equal value to an actual person who has a right to bodily autonomy. If 200 years in the future, thanks to like medical technology advancements, we can safely remove an 8-week fetus from a mother, respect her bodily autonomy, and protect the fetus, I don't think anyone's going to call for abortion in that situation. But the reality is, respecting her bodily autonomy typically is mutually exclusive with terminating, with keeping that pregnancy.
So make sure I'm tracking your argument here. You're saying that before this specific moment when there is a certain level of brain development, because the brain has begun
certain
developing
connections
before.
Between brain regions.
And why for you is that the level of humanity? Why for you does that give that person human rights?
Because that includes anyone we'd want to include, people that are asleep, people that are under general anesthesia.
And if they have a brain developmental disorder where they're missing part of their brain, and so
like
those
anencephaly, for example,
and those connections aren't there, would you say they're not a human anymore?
They'd still be a human, and like I said earlier,
but they don't have those brain connections that you're talking about.
I'm talking about personhood versus being a human.
Well, that's what I'm talking about too.
Yeah.
So I'm saying.
So I want to be clear with the terms here. When you say they're a human, I'm agreeing that even a fertilized egg is a human, is a person that should be given equal protections.
So are you saying that a person with a
woman.
brain developmental disorder, like a significant developmental
So like, are you talking
disability,
about anencephaly, for example?
As an example, that they would not be a person
as I
in your
said,
view? It's okay to kill that person?
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Then what are you saying?
As I said earlier, when there's a potential life, a partial life, you still give it some value. You have to take reasonable steps to protect it. If someone's born,
what steps would you give it to protect
if someone's born with anencephaly, there's no conflict there between the bodily autonomy of a woman and the person with anencephaly. The reason you do an abortion is not like, oh, I want to kill this fetus for fun. There's a conflict between the woman's bodily autonomy and the fetus developing. So if there's some way to resolve that and respect both parties, that would be great, but we don't have that kind of medical technology.
So
right
the pro-life position is that if you are a human, you have human rights, regardless of how developed your brain might be, because some people have severe developmental disabilities, and that doesn't make them less of a human, or they have less.
I never said that it does.
Well, your argument actually infers that it does, actually, because it's saying that this particular level of developmental ability that your brain may have gives you,
which exists, by the way, in pretty much anyone other than people with anencephaly, and those people usually die in a couple days.
But is it okay to kill that person before they die naturally? Because they lack this.
If they're still in the womb or after birth.
But what if they're okay? Let's take your scenario. What if they're after birth and they lack the specific connections that you're saying defines personhood?
They only have a brainstem usually.
Yeah, and they're after birth. There's a little boy named Jasper. He lived almost, I think, 3-4 years, and with a severe condition, a developmental condition in his brain.
It's not okay to kill that.
But why would it not be okay to kill them when they lack this specific brain connection that you're saying makes it okay to kill the baby at 21 weeks?
The reason it's okay to kill the fetus prior to 22 weeks is not because it's just good enough itself. It's because it's the only way to resolve the conflict between the bodily autonomy of the woman and the fetus. If someone's born with anencephaly, their existence is not impeding on the bodily autonomy of anyone else. And then you want to take all reasonable steps to help that person not harm that person.
I think we agree on bodily autonomy to a degree, because I agree that I have bodily autonomy, you have bodily autonomy, but I think my bodily autonomy ends when another human being's bodily autonomy begins. Even before they're fully developed. Why does their
autonomy outweigh yours, though?
So it's not that it outweighs, it's that they're two lives. Like, it would not be right for me to be killed by you, right? I have a right to live. And similarly, if I had another body inside my body that was a developing human being, which is what pregnancy involves, right? Maybe one, maybe two, they have a right to live and to not be killed. So I don't have the right, even though there is a responsibility I now have, they're using my body to develop. That's how we all behave in our life.
But then
that child still has a right to not be killed. Parents have natural.
Why does that woman not have a right to still have her bodily functions kept intact and have like her bodily autonomy kept intact? When you can deliver the baby, deliver the baby.
What is the womb designed for? What is the womb designed for?
Like gestation?
Gestation of what?
The baby.
Right. So the womb is designed for the baby. Okay. Nice job. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Adam.
Well, he tried.
Yeah, no, he had a good argument and stuff. I don't know. I just think you give up that autonomy when you decide to have sex and put another body inside of yours.
Right. That's why I say he's right.
It just is. I think people just need to be a little bit more serious about what sex is and life is. And I can understand though, people you being irresponsible, and then next thing you know, you're pregnant, and I can only imagine how a woman feels because even guys, you get the news and you about to pass out as if the baby growing in you, and you ain't finna go through nothing. You can still go out and party and drink and have fun,
Right.
But I do like what she said. I think yours ends where another human being starts.
Yeah, I agree with her.
Do you see what she just?
No, I looked away for a split second.
She just girl, I'm getting this chair. She like, girl, I'm getting this chair. What? I wish you would. I
Oh,
wish
wow.
you would
again.
sit down
Oh,
in this
wow.
chair.
So my first question is, are you familiar with an anime or a manga series called Monster?
I'm not. Tell me about it.
In Monster,
never heard of it.
essentially you have a doctor, and this doctor has a choice. He has a choice to decide between either saving this young boy's life or saving the life of, I believe it's a sponsor of the hospital. He chooses to save the young boy's life. This young boy grows up to be the titular monster, worse than Hitler. Does that child have a right to life?
Yes, every child has a right to life.
Even if they turn out to be the most monstrous thing you could possibly produce. Even if
Yeah, monsters-
even if their life means the life ending of everyone here. Does their life still hold?
I believe
true?
monsters are not born, they're made. So just because a child might eventually do something when they grow up and become an adult doesn't mean we have a right to kill them before that. I don't know what went on in their childhood or the choices that they made, but at the end of the day, everyone has a right to life, especially a child. They're innocent.
Let's say this child grows up and their life is miserable to the point of where they would want to end their life. And that's going to obviously leave some kind of ricochet effect. Everybody's going to be desperately devastated by that. Would you say that the parent who believes that that is where their child's life is going, does that child still deserve the right to life?
Are you saying that if a child is being abused, then we should be in support of killing that child?
Then let me be more specific. What would you say to me as someone who is a third generation suicide survivor? So my mother, my grandmother, and their lives were miserable.
I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm so sorry that that's part of your history and that your mother, your grandmother endured that. And I'm so glad that you're here. I think your life is awesome. And
I don't like the trauma dump, and I don't like it at all. Is anybody going to ask the real question? Is how would you know this baby's going to grow up and be Hitler? How?
Yeah, I don't think nobody's worried about asking that question because they're not worried about that being true or not. Nobody's worried about asking that question because they're more concerned on whether or not that baby is gonna grow up to be a YN or some shit.
Yeah, and she's. I don't want to be insensitive. Never mind.
I could be insensitive. They're more.
'Cause
they're more.
She's doing this. Oh, I'm a 3-time survivor. Girl, if you really wanted to take yourself out, you would do it. Like, come on. I get it. But it's like you did that to tug on people's heartstrings.
That's what it is. That's not. I mean, truth be told, I mean, I've suffered with various forms of mental illness, and I'm open enough nowadays in my life to where I can talk about it, and I'm actually taking medications and stuff of that nature, and in therapy and stuff. And it's not something where I just I just throw it out there to use it as a cusp. It's not like it's not the baseline of something that I'm talking about to get a point across to somebody. Like I don't tell somebody whether or not or how many times I tried to X myself out or something like that, to use that as a point of contention, because ultimately what it ends up being is exactly what you said. It ends up just being something to pull on somebody's heartstrings. And even if it's not intentionally what it is you're doing, that's what it ends up being. So despite it, whether or not what it is she's doing, that's what she's doing.
And and who could have predicted that when she was a baby in the womb? Nobody could have predicted that.
Nobody could have predicted that.
I was like, come on, man, like stop it. Man. Well, I'm glad you're doing okay.
Oh, I'm perfectly fine, big brother. I appreciate you, but I'm perfectly fine, though. I mean, like I said, it's not something to I don't use that as a point of contention in conversations. It's not nothing to be brought up like that, especially in a conversation about abortions. It's not something to be brought up.
Yeah.
I think every life is awesome.
Now, would you say the same if you knew that I was living in a domestic violence shelter where I consider taking my life frequently? Would you still say that I don't deserve to not only end that life, but especially somebody who did have an abortion, as somebody who had to make the decision to escape their abuser, their predator, their captor, someone who was trafficked and pimped? So, would you still say that raising that child under those circumstances would have either made my life difficult, or would you still say that child has a right to life if I made the decision, I don't want to be tied to a predator for the rest of my life. I don't want to be tied to my captor for the rest of my life.
So if someone's dealing with horrible abuse, and I hope that didn't happen to you, but if you were dealing with I'm so sorry. That's absolutely horrible. You deserved much better. You deserve to be taken out of that, rescued from that, and given a better life. And that would be my hope for every person, and what I'd want to work towards for every person, as opposed to saying death is the answer, or a suicide is the answer, or abortion is the answer. I think choosing life is always better.
Now, what would you say if I were to say,
yes, thank you.
As well.
Appreciate it. Hello.
Hi, Whitney Shanahan.
Whitney, nice to meet you.
Boy, this lady with her hats on every video.
I'm a mother.
Awesome. Congrats.
And I know you're a mother too.
Yes.
And I think that as mothers, having our bodily autonomy, the right to control our own body and make our own decisions, especially when it comes to pregnancy, is paramount. And I think that calling an unborn child, an embryo or fetus, an unborn child, as mothers is disingenuous, and it is disempowering for us. I don't know how a child would fit in my uterus. It doesn't even really make sense. So when we're talking about an unborn child, I think we should say in this space, like out of respect for everyone, it's a fetus, it's an embryo.
Do you know the meaning of the word fetus?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a baby, an unborn baby.
Yes.
I'm not here to argue anything scientific with you. I'm here to talk about bodily autonomy.
The science does matter.
The bodily autonomy is what I'm here to talk to you about.
Well, I think both matter, right? So the science tells us.
You just had a guest who argued science with you. I am not a scientist. I'm a mother.
I am too. But I'm saying the science, I think, does matter.
I'm so glad it matters to you. Everyone here has a different reason why abortion rights matter to them. And as me, a mother, and as someone who in a red state, when they were trying to pass a 6-week heartbeat abortion ban, I went into the ER and I was questioned about what I had done to cause a possible miscarriage. Because at that time, the state legislature was working to ban abortion at 6 weeks, and I was 11 weeks. And I was turned away. I was questioned about what I had done. I wanted that pregnancy. I want another pregnancy. I have a child. I want to stay alive for my child. So my bodily autonomy is the paramount, is the most important thing. And to say women's bodily autonomy should be sacrificed for a hypothetical baby, a hypothetical child, because a pregnancy, that is not a child. It's a baby, it's a fetus, and it's an embryo.
So I'd love to respond to what you're saying. First of all,
before you respond, I just want to hear one argument, because I've never heard anyone from your organization make an argument of why the government or you or anyone knows better for my body than me.
So I'd love to.
She's not saying she know better. She's saying hypothetically.
Yeah.
Because pregnancy tests don't tell you you're pregnant. They just, hypothetically, you may or may not be if you got 2 stripes when you pee on the
Right.
stick. But don't hypothetically pee on the stick.
Right. Right. So when you go to the hospital for the HIV test, the hospital is on hypothetically telling you that you have AIDS.
Yeah,
or that you have
hypothetically.
HIV. Hypothetically.
So it's not real. It's hypothetical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the doctor feels that lump in your breast, you only hypothetically have breast cancer.
Yeah, hypothetical. And my grandmother was a breast cancer survivor, and they had to remove one of her breasts. It's a good thing it was only hypothetical, though.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still sorry to hear that, though, but at the end of the day, it was hypothetical.
Yeah, it's hypothetical. Yeah. I'm glad she cleared that up.
Yeah.
I was overly worried for nothing. This whole time it's been hypothetical.
But I'll tell you, some of these people, boy.
Nobody likes this lady with the hat. Like
Bro,
I was doing these videos, they was in the comments dragging her. Like nobody likes her.
Bro, she has yet to say anything of value, quite honestly. The times that I've heard her speak, she has yet to say anything of value.
I'm wondering is her husband looking for her because she's always at Jubilee. Like
I'm starting to think it's Jubilee her job. I mean, you talk about her husband looking for her. Is her job looking for her? Like, does she work?
What if she is like some secret Jubilee person?
That would be wild if she a plant. That would be crazy. That would be the most diabolical thing. Because if she is a hidden Jubilee employee, she is the most diabolical employee Jubilee has ever. Because she is stupid. She is the worst interviewee ever.
It's odd that her as a mom, she speaks so just what they say, like callous, like
so callous. She speaks so as a matter of fact.
Yeah, like a fetus is nothing. Like, and you're a mom, and you like you wear mom as a badge of honor, and you're like a fetus is nothing. It's a hypothetical baby.
I like the first lady who was, well, not the first lady, but the lady who was talking when I first came in, talking about some hope for the best. Well, I hope your kids don't ever get stuck up and robbed, because I guess you're just gonna hope for the best.
Mm-hmm. But they're not being robbed. It's hypothetical, though.
Yeah, hypothetically. Hope your kids don't ever get a gun stuck in their face because they're gonna hypothetically hope for the best. Well, that's wild.
Are these hills real, or are those hypothetical hills?
That's probably a hypothetical hat.
Now I'm talking about the guy to the left, in the left of the screen.
Oh God. If that's a guy.
It is. It is.
Ew.
All right. Let's see.
To respond if I know.
How you know better about my body than me?
So I don't know your body personally.
You're right. You don't know anyone's body but your own body.
But what
So
I
you
can
shouldn't
say,
be making decisions for
if you would let me
anyone else's
respond,
body.
I'd love to respond to what you're saying. So your argument is that your bodily autonomy is more important than the unborn child's right
No,
to
they're
life.
equal. No,
Okay.
you didn't listen.
So do you
They're
have the
equal.
right to kill your unborn child?
My bodily autonomy.
Do you have the right to kill your unborn child?
I have a right to use my body and my organs however I see
kill
fit.
your unborn child?
No one has the right to use my body or organs without my consent.
So does
my,
that mean you
my
have the right to
5-year-old
kill?
son, how is it killing him? My 5-year-old
Abortion
son,
is killing that child.
my
That's what an
5-year-old
abortion
son
does.
needs a kidney or he will die. If I don't give
Can
him
I
my
explain?
kidney, is that
So
killing
I
him?
think-
Is that killing him?
I don't
if
think
I
you're-
don't give him my
if
kidney?
I can respond, we
Well, just
can't have a conversation if I can't respond. An abortion is the intentional killing of that child. So
That is
abortion.
your definition.
No,
It's a medical
if I can-
procedure.
if-
It's a healthcare medical
if you
procedure.
would let me respond. So an abortion involves either poisoning the baby to death via an abortion pill. It involves suctioning the baby to death in a first trimester abortion. It can involve live dismemberment of that baby in a second trimester abortion, or in a third trimester abortion, it involves a lethal injection.
So
in
what
all
does
of
that have to
those
do with bodily
cases,
autonomy?
in all
Bodily
of those
autonomy.
cases, it's
bodily
active killing.
autonomy. Explain what.
Pause, Whitney. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your
Thank
seat.
you, Whitney.
Whitney is crazy.
She got a perfect name too, because everybody named Whitney or Tiffany are crazy.
Yeah.
Hello.
I'm Brianna.
Brianna, nice to
Definitely
meet you.
fits into that.
Okay, so I just want to get some clarification on your definitions here.
Yes.
How do you define a child? What is a child?
Okay, great question and great thing to do. First of all, an unborn child is a member of the human species that is not born yet.
Okay,
So that would
so-
include a child in the womb, or it could include a child that's in an IVF
What are
clinic.
characteristics that are distinct that create the definition of a human? How do you define a human?
A human is a member of the a human species.
So that's
it's under
it.
the
It's just
law.
a
Yes,
a
under the
member-
law of biogenesis.
So what?
A human would be the offspring of of parents in the same species.
Okay, so what is the distinction between a human and other living organisms? And
Genetically, we might be pretty similar in some ways, but there's some key differences.
what is the key difference?
The human genetic code is substantially different than any other.
Could you
species
say
in the
maybe a
world.
level of awareness is something that distincts us from just, let's say bacteria or plants or other
I see.
life
I see what you're
forms?
saying. Yes, we have the ability for reason. We
To
have,
have
the
a
ability,
conscious experience.
Yeah,
right.
ultimately, human beings have a natural capacity to be able to reason and to be able to choose and love and do things
Correct.
that animals might have some.
So you would say that's a determinative
to us in some ways, but
aspect
not
of
to
a
the degree that
human
humans
being.
have.
That's what determines a human being, having awareness and a conscious experience.
Well, I mean, animals
that's
have
what you
conscious
just said,
experience,
right? You
but
said
we have the
that.
ability to reason. Ultimately, human
Okay,
beings have a
reasoning,
natural
conscious
capacity to
experience.
reason.
This is
But
what
that
makes
doesn't
us
mean just-
distinct from other living
But just to
organisms
be-
like plants or
yes,
anything
but just
like
to
that.
be clear, human
So-
beings have the natural capacity for reason, but they don't all have the active capacity. So a newborn baby doesn't have an active capacity for language, for reasoning, for making arguments that a maybe adult would. And similarly, we all know
So
that
is
an
it-
unborn baby
right.
is a human, even though
Are
it
the
can't speak yet,
blueprints
it
the
can't
same
reason.
as a building? Like, are the blueprints the same as a building?
No.
Okay, so if you would go up to it and you see the structural integrity of something that a building's, there's all these pieces that have set aside.
Yeah.
Someone goes and they vandalize that. Would they say, "Oh, you
Yeah.
vandalized the
I
building"?
hear what you're saying, but the analogy doesn't fit because
How
an
does it not
unborn-
fit? Because
an
this is
unborn
the
baby is
blue-
not a blueprint.
Okay, it's not
An
a
unborn
blueprint. The
baby,
genome,
it's-
all the genetic
your
makeups.
DNA is a blueprint, but the unborn baby is also made of cells, which are them, like you said, the
Right.
building blocks.
But
So
it's
they're
not
building
human
the
yet,
baby.
because you even
They're
said yourself
100
that a
what are
level
they
of
if they're
awareness
not
and
human?
consciousness is what defines
What are
humanity.
they? What if they're
which
not
happens in the
human?
third trimester, and we see
Are
that
you saying
actually
that
at
the un-
90% of abortions
Yeah.
occur according to the Guttmacher
pause.
Institute.
Are you saying the
in
unborn
first
child's not a
trimester.
human?
Pause.
She had a suck ass argument. I would have said, sweetheart, a better comparison would be, are you a woman? Yes. What defines a woman? Oh, this, and that. Would you say that women have babies? Oh, yes. Now, if a woman is unable to have babies, does she stop being a woman? See, that's a better example. But she would
Yeah,
have
that
to
is.
code. Okay, compare no actual building to papers of a blueprint. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, she had a crappy argument.
My daughter would say she thought she ate. She thought she ate with that one. I think that's what the kids say. She thought she ate. Like, girl, get out of here. That did not make any sense. What you said, like, blueprint, like pieces of paper compared to a building. What are you talking about? The paper ain't alive and the building ain't alive. What are you talking about? They ain't the same damn thing.
She thought she had it. That's what it was. She thought she had it, but failed miserably.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Who's next?
Hi, Evan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. So my fundamental issue with a lot of pro-lifers is they have a misreading or a misunderstanding of why exactly we grant moral consideration to other humans. It is not, unlike your view, because we are simply of the human species and a live organism. Under your worldview, and correct me if I'm wrong, at the moment of conception, that you have a right to life, and that right to life is equal amongst all human beings. Is that correct?
At the moment of fertilization, yes, we all have
Sure.
an equal
And
right to life. When
you-
a single cell embryo,
Great.
so the science shows us at
Great,
the moment
great,
of
great.
fertilization,
That's fine,
well, it's
that's
important. A single cell embryo comes into
fine.
existence.
I'm not even disputing
that's unique
that.
and
I'm not
genetically
even
distinct
disputing
from
that.
his or
That's
her
fine,
mother.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So you would prefer a world where there are less rights violations than a world where there are more rights violations. Is that correct?
Of course.
Of course. Okay. So in a world in which someone shot and killed a born human baby, you would prefer that world over someone destroying a tray full of frozen zygotes. Under your worldview, if that is a world in which there are more rights violations happening, a tray of frozen zygotes in petri dishes would be worse under your worldview than a world in which someone
So-
shot and killed a born baby.
Yeah,
Can you concede to that?
I think we were talking about this sense
Can
of
you concede whether or not that would
if
be-
you'll let me respond. So
Sure.
here's the deal. If there's a burning building, right? And I think you're kind of using this analogy with this tray of babies that are frozen, right? In vitro fertilization
Zygotes.
babies. Nobody
Nobody colloquially uses the term baby to refer to
human
zygotes,
embryos.
by the way.
Human embryos.
Sure.
They're human embryos, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Or the born baby. Yes, I mean, under the law of familiarity, and also if I was in a household and there was in the first room my son, in the second room some other person, I would pick my son.
I'm not asking in the law of familiarity. I'm asking under your ethical worldview with respect to rights violations, which is what we're discussing.
It doesn't mean that the embryos are less valuable or that the person in the room that I didn't choose to save is less valuable. This is really important.
But with respect to rights violations, I'm going to come walking back because you're not actually.
Can I respond?
You're not directly actually responding.
I am trying to, if I may. If I want to save, in your analogy, this newborn baby from being shot, I think is what your analogy is, which is obviously horrible, or save this tray of embryos, human embryos who are in the in vitro fertilization clinic. Yeah, I would pick that newborn baby. That's not because the embryos are less valuable.
So then you've just contradicted yourself because you said that you prefer a world in which there are less rights violations, but that would be a world in which there are more rights violations under your exact worldview, because you conceded earlier that at the moment of conception, we all have an equal right to life, which means if we have an equal right to life, all of those embryos have an equal rights to life. And that means there are more rights violations under the worldview in which the tray is destroyed versus
to be clear, if there was a baby and it's like, go save that baby or go save these 10 men over there, I also might pick the baby. That doesn't mean that these 10 men are not valuable. And it doesn't mean that the 10 men don't have human rights. It's just that this is a baby right there.
I'm not asking whether or not you have some personal more empathy towards a baby. I'm specifically asking because we're discussing human rights, as you put it. Because I also have all of us all have a much stronger form to empathy towards women. We don't have.
Sure, and if I could just say, sorry, time's up. That's okay. Thank you. Nice.
He failed. And the reason those hypothetical questions never really work and they never give you a true answer because it's not true to life. It's like when people say, would you save this person or that person? Most people are going to try to save both of them. That's just what they're going to do. There is no in life movie. Time slows down and stands still. And Optimus Prime says, opportunity rarely calls on you at a moment of no. That ain't what happens. You just try to do what you can. It's a dumb question what he asked. And people use the word zygote, embryo, try to be insulting. It's still a human. Because when they're born, what do you call them? You say, oh, an infant. A toddler. Preteen. Teenager. They start talking back. Asshole. Then young adults. Adult. And then it's get out my house. So there's plenty of name for humans, depending on the stages of life they're in. Elderly. What's the word for when they're over 100? Centurion or something?
Oh, shoot, you got me there.
So it's like zygote. What is a zygote? Okay. You talking about a human? Because you gave a name to describe a stage.
That's all it is. Made up name.
He's a fool. Why would it be a bunch of zygotes just sitting on a fucking, what are they on, like a donut tray?
I mean, who knows? Let's ask. I don't know. Let's ask. Let's ask Kiana. Ask her
Oh
to
shit! Is
text.
Kiana still here? Kiana, he just
Text old girl. let's see.
what
Let's
a-
see if they just keep him on the table or something.
with those 12 zygotes right there on that tray. Who would even be in a situation like that? This is the dumbest shit anybody could ever ask. Like, oh look, 12 zygotes. It's just like some stuff you don't see. It's kind of like when you see a dwarf. You get excited when you see them. You just don't see 12 of them. You know, like
Right.
you would remember that. You'd be pretty excited. You like, I saw 12 zygotes. They're just laying there. You know, come on. When would you have to deal with that? It's crazy. It's like all that math I learned that I never got to use. Come on.
I know, right?
Okay, Mr. Marcus said I was right. He said, yes, centurion is the correct term, being over 100. Appreciate you, brother.
Oh, wow. Yeah, appreciate that. I just learned something today.
Kiana said, you play too much. He said, 12 zygotes sitting on the table. Wonder who left this here. Oh my gosh. Let's try to get through this video. I still got to do like the weekly news, everything that happened on the news, and it was insane. Including, did you see that guy 4 Extra had one of them M80, the little quarter stick of dynamites, blew his hand off? They put that picture on the Google. Oh my God, his hand was mangled. I had to send it to you in the messages, man. It was.
Yeah, send it to me.
I will.
Abortion is unconstitutional and should be banned. Hello, what's your name?
Pleasure. Zeke.
Zeke, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I'm a lawyer, so I'm actually
Awesome.
really glad that you
Congrats.
brought up the constitutionality. So what do you find unconstitutional about the right to an abortion? I'm just curious.
Well, first of all, the Supreme Court has found in the reversal, the undoing of Roe v. Wade, that abortion actually is not a constitutional right. So that's currently the decision of the Supreme Court.
What was
most
the reasoning
but most
based off of?
importantly, the 14th Amendment to our Constitution has something called equal protection under the law for all persons. And it says that no state has the right to deprive any person of life without due process under the law.
Also, liberty and
there's no
property.
due process for the unborn child in the womb. They're innocent, and they're a human being just like you and I. I
Right,
believe
let
they're
me
a
stop
person
you right.
under the law,
That's-
and they have the
that's
right
true.
to live.
That's true. But there's also in that clause something called the due process clause.
Correct.
You cannot deprive an individual life, liberty, or property.
Does the baby have due process before
wait,
they're killed?
Wait. Substantive due process. All right. There's two different things. Liberty, right? We have to focus on the liberty aspect. Individuals have liberty to do things in their life, right? That the government cannot infringe upon. One of those things is the right to marry. You cannot limit it based on race, right?
But we don't
You
have the right
cannot
to
limit
kill,
it-
right? We don't have the right to
Wait,
commit homicide
I'm getting
or
there.
murder.
Liberty also means that you have the liberty to decide when you become a parent, right? That's what kind of Roe was based off of. It was the liberty to decide when individuals become parents.
If you're pregnant, is there a child that exists?
We had this conversation earlier. We're on the legal aspect, right? We're going to talk about Roe.
I want to talk about that because that's one of the reasons the pro-life position is that
But this isn't
if you are
pro-life.
the
This is
parent
law.
of an
I
unborn
want to talk
baby,
about
you're not allowed to
substantive
kill
law
that child.
here, right? Substantive due process determined that we have a right to determine when we become parents under Roe v. Wade. The beauty about Roe v. Wade was that it gave the 50 states the opportunity to set the ceiling for where they decided viability
So I
was,
have a
while
question for
also
you.
protecting women's rights to an abortion
I
in
am
all
the
50
parent- if
states.
I'm a parent of
so
a
it gave it
one-year-old,
back to
yeah.
the states while also protecting women's ability to have that decision.
I have a question for you. If I'm a parent of a one-year-old and I'm saying I cannot deal with this one-year-old, I am mentally incapacitated.
That's
I
not
can't
the same
handle
thing.
this. Am I allowed to do child neglect and just leave that one-year-old?
That's not
in
the
my
same
home?
thing. Viability.
Why is that not the same thing?
Because we've had
Because
this
I'm saying
discussion
I don't
on
want to be a
biology, the
parent.
first
You're just saying-
individual.
you just made a claim that the reason that abortion is constitutional is because parents have the right to decide when they want to be parents to the point where they could
before
end the life of their child.
viability, before the point of viability.
You know what I just realized in all these conversations? That's really the question to be asked, right? Because he's coming with this legal bull crap talking about he's a lawyer. That don't mean nothing. There's a lot of
It
dumb
means
lawyers walking
absolutely
around here.
nothing.
All right. When do you decide to be a parent? And you know what is very irritating, and it proves that a lot of people are liars, is that they pretend like you make that decision once you're pregnant. No, that is a decision that you make right before you have sex. And what people are doing is they're going out, having sex, getting pregnant, and then turning around and telling the government, "You're trying to take away my rights. Tell me if I'd be a parent or not." What are you talking about? That's a decision when you have sex. Who's telling you you got to have sex unprotected at that?
Irresponsibility.
Like, what are you talking about? That decision starts the moment you take your clothes off and you providing, we're talking about consensual, right? And you consent and you say, okay, I'm about to have sex. It's like my grandfather told me, he said, fucking makes babies. So don't come complaining to me. You know, when somebody get pregnant, don't boo-hoo, don't cry. You decided that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kiana, I appreciate you.
Which was the issue in Roe and later in Casey. Dobbs threw.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Why
then.
was
So,
Dobbs?
if
Why
you're
did the
saying-
justices in Dobbs overturn Roe? What was the reasoning?
I'd love to respond to
Why
what you're
was
saying,
it?
but it has to be give and take here.
Okay,
So if you're saying that a parent has the right to end the life of their child, provided the baby is before viability, is that your position? Then it would be constitutional. Is that what you're saying?
The point of viability is determined by the states. Anything before that
But
cannot
why
be
is
touched.
why does my viability define my humanity? As an example, I'm not viable
Because
on
it's
Mars,
a liberty
right?
interest. Me
you
and
and
my
I wouldn't
wife
be able
have
to
the
be
liberty
viable
to
on
decide
Mars.
when we become parents.
Similarly,
Not Uncle Sam cannot come
Let
in
me
and say,
just
now
finish
you
here.
have
Similarly,
to become a parent.
baby in the womb, that's their natural habitat. They're not supposed to be able to survive outside the womb at 10 weeks. They're actually in their natural environment where
Yes.
we all started our life,
But
right?
me and my wife
So
are
to remove
conscious
that baby
individuals who know our
but they have the
situations
natural
and can
capacity for
decide
consciousness. Give them a few more
when-
weeks.
Yeah,
They're human beings just like you and me.
Well,
They're just
that's
not
when
developed.
the states decide when the point of
And a
viability
newborn
is. Any
baby
point
has
before
less
that is me and my
consciousness.
wife's decision.
A newborn
to decide
baby has
when
less
we are
consciousness
parents.
than a 2-year-old, has less consciousness and rational abilities than a 10-year-old. We're always, you don't fully develop your brain until you're in your
And
mid-20s.
that's the beauty of Roe, right?
But that
is
doesn't
it's
mean
so
a mid-20s
subjective by
person
state to
is more
state. The
valuable than a
states
newborn
decide
or an
the
unborn
ceiling,
baby.
but they cannot go under the floor. That's the point of Roe and the beauty. It is messy. Legally,
Roe was
I'll do your
overturned.
job for you.
Roe was
The
overturned.
reason why
it's
people
decidedly
went against Roe,
unconstitutional.
this is why it was
Dobbs v.
unconstitutional.
Jackson overturned Roe.
Because, but I'll answer your
and
question for you.
homicide,
The reason
killing a human being is
people are against
unconstitutional.
Roe was because they said, well, it doesn't fit the substantive due process analysis. Obviously, it is a right that the founders did not intend in there. It is in the spirit of the law to
did you
have the
know-
liberty interest to bring
Yeah.
a child into this
So
world.
I'm
That is what
arguing from the
justices
14th
argue.
Amendment,
And
not
that's what
from
I'm
Roe or
arguing.
Dobbs. I'm saying
And
that the 14th
Dobbs
Amendment
came from substantive due process under the 14th Amendment. You're
14th
arguing
Amendment says
from a different, that's
no
not
state has the right to
substantive due
deprive anyone of
process.
life, and
Liberty and
it provides
property.
equal protection under the law.
That's
so the
procedural due
argument, if I can
process.
just give the
That's
argument, the argument is a
considerably
child in the womb has the same equal protection under the law as a newborn baby. The birth canal
That's
doesn't
legally
confer you
wrong, though.
legal
That is-
rights.
That's actually
Well,
legally wrong.
there have been poorly decided decisions like Roe, which were overturned. Dred
Only
Scott
because
was a poorly
justices
decided
were
Supreme Court
appointed
decision
with a
that was
predisposition
overturned.
against that legal belief. Everything in the legal field, I'm a lawyer, right? Is based on subjective stuff. Pleasure, though.
Pleasure. Thanks so much. You got it.
Hey, welcome back.
Good to see you again. Mason,
Mason, yeah,
nice
yeah,
to
yeah.
see you again.
So, a couple of quick questions first before we begin. Do you believe that the Constitution's inerrant?
That you mean it's perfect the way that it is?
Correct.
Well, I think that what is in the Constitution is good. I think it's possible and sometimes the right thing to do to add new constitutional amendments.
Yeah.
So that the Constitution can be more clear in who it's meant to protect and the rights that it's meant to protect. And that's what happened obviously with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. And that's why I think historically we have, back when the 14th Amendment was put in the Constitution, most of the country saw a child in the womb as a person.
So I'm glad that you admit that amendments are something that make the Constitution malleable.
Make it better, can make it better.
Right, absolutely. So if,
It's not undoing past parts of the Constitution, it's making it better.
Well, there are certain clauses within those amendments that will expand upon things that were unclear or had a little bit of murky areas. And I would say that if abortion was going to be something that was a constitutional right and amendment, you'd agree that even if it is part of the
my argument, to be clear, is that abortion is already unconstitutional.
I think you're trying to evoke an authority that
under our
you wouldn't
existing
subscribe to
Constitution.
if abortion was to be added to the Constitution.
I'm not sure what you mean by abortion added to the Constitution. What do you mean by that?
I'm saying if the right to privacy was again reinforced and bodily autonomy was added to that right.
So just to be clear, I support the right to privacy, and I support bodily autonomy.
Interrupting people, like making sure.
Well, I support those things. So it's not; those are not in conflict for me. I just don't think those things mean that I have the right to take the life of my child.
Right. I can see to you that an abortion is wrong. Right. Let's just agree on the same moral framework that abortions are bad. The termination of life is something that's bad. That doesn't necessarily.
Yo, that is the funniest shit I ever wrote. Julius. Julie, he said last guest was a lawyer. He hit it well. Oh man, that's hilarious. Oh.
Necessarily mean that needs to be illegal. For all those Jordan Peterson fans out there, Jordan Peterson made this argument. Jordan Peterson specifically said that even if something is wrong, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that should be illegal. We would all agree that killing is wrong, but we understand just war theory that there are certain instances in which killing is something that's acceptable.
I see where you're going with this, and I agree with you, largely speaking. I think
so. When it comes to something like abortion, when it again is trying to supersede the right to bodily autonomy, this is not something that we can guarantee.
So
we can't guarantee to preserve that life in favor of making a woman make decisions.
The presumption at the heart of what you're saying is that a woman without abortion, women are going to die. I think that's the presumption, and so their rights are somehow in conflict. The right to life of the child.
I wouldn't say that women are going to die, but going through pregnancy is not a simple process.
It's not a simple process.
9 months of physiological changes.
But with good medical care, you can care for both the mother and the child. And so my view is that you should not pit their rights against each other, but we should care for both mother and child, both as patients. It's not that the child's more important than the mother. It's not that the mother's more important than the child. Is that we care for both patients.
Yeah, and
healthcare professionals can do that when they put in the work.
That's the beauty of having a pro-choice perspective, is because if women want to go through that, we absolutely should be providing.
But that's an elective abortion that you're referring to. The woman is choosing it because of her own personal reasons for whatever they might be. It's
because it changes her body. Again, it's not a simple process.
Well,
if someone doesn't want to go through those physiological changes, they should have the ability to make that decision.
To be clear, when you have a newborn child on your hands, that changes your body too. That child needs to nurse. That child needs to feed off of you.
This is something that you can give to an adoption facility. You don't have to go through that yourself once the baby is born. When you are changing your body, that is not something that you're deciding
here's the bottom line as I see it.
Based on policy that you're advocating for.
Parents have natural rights and natural responsibilities. A parent has a natural right and responsibility. The responsibility for a mother does include letting that child grow and not killing that child before the child can survive outside of the womb.
So you're saying it's a de facto
that is a natural
guardianship.
responsibility.
Is that where you're advocating?
It is, and that's how we all started our life.
But it's
and
not
that's because the child has a right to live. Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
My name is Zach.
Zach, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I come from the standpoint that the laws in the United States should represent.
Told you, Prince. Told you. You doubt it. There you go. Told you.
Presents the general public's opinions. And when you look at the bell curve, the majority, upwards of 70% of Americans believe that we have the right to abortions up to a certain point. Everyone has a different view on when that life becomes a life. But I think that it's so wrong to only cater to the very farthest end of the bell curve when you're cutting off the rights from so many women whose opinions are valid and who might have so many different reasons to get an abortion, economic, just they're not in the place to have a family.
There are often Supreme Court decisions that happen, that are made, that do not reflect the general poll consensus of the country. And this is also the story of part of our history, some of our worst human rights abuse as a country. If you had taken a poll of the Deep South, you would have found them during the time of slavery that they were for slavery. That was horrible, right? But you don't take a poll and say, well, you support slavery, so slavery is just. So that's why we live in a democratic republic that also has a judicial system that also looks at what is constitutional, what is not. And abortion is unconstitutional because we have a 14th Amendment that provides equal protection under the law for all persons, regardless of the color of your skin, developmental abilities, your sex, your race, anything. You should have equal protection under the law. And the child in the womb is the same human person as the child will be when the child's born, and they deserve equal protection.
The whole reason that Roe v. Wade was put into place, though, is because it was determined that it was too difficult to determine exactly when a life becomes a life.
There was no poll with Roe v. Wade to say, let's legalize abortion or not. That was actually 9 unelected men on the Supreme Court, 7 who decided that they were going to make abortion the law of the land. And it undid the laws of many
that putting
pro-life
life
states.
starting at conception is so unfair to the women whose lives are actually being affected by these long-term decisions. I understand that from your perspective, you think that a woman should have the child no matter what because it's too difficult to decide like case to case or something.
Well, and we're big advocates for adoption too, because if they feel they're not in the position to be a parent,
if the child is going to be born without a brain, if the child,
they can place the child for adoption
not fair
as well.
to make a woman go through all that, and because it is permanent damage to a woman's body to bring that baby along for 9 months. Just for a lot of cases, the reason that they choose an abortion is for their safety or for their long-term health effects.
Do you know the reason for over 90% of abortions?
Why?
They have nothing to do with safety. They have nothing to do with abuse. They have nothing to do with health conditions. They're purely done. They're done for the convenience of the woman. And there's 1 million abortions a year. So it's hundreds of thousands of abortions that are done.
All right, we're back with another Straight Arrow News fact check. Fact check time. About 95% of abortions in the United States involve unwanted pregnancies, according to the Guttmacher Institute, a reproductive rights group that supports abortion access. Yeah, that's a G. They use weird font.
Because the woman,
my belief is that the laws should be put in place.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I do believe that the decision should be between a doctor and the woman, because those are the people who have the best interest for the woman.
Of course, he had to get the last word in. And like, yeah. Dave says that a trainee did debate. No, I don't know. I don't know. He said his name was Zach, and I think he's just a guy that likes to dress like that, to be honest. That's you know. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Kiana said 12 times. Prince says at Marcus, I was quiet because them 12 little ghosts was trying to catch their get back at yeah. Yeah. Kiana said she gonna tell us nothing. No more.
Hello. What's your name?
Soraya.
Soraya. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Okay, so I'm not really massively into debating. I'd honestly just rather hear your opinion.
Thanks for being here.
100%, yeah. Because it is a complex issue, and I absolutely see the value of your side. I do. I'm just curious then. If we ban it, how does that play out? Like, how does that look then? Let's say we ban it today. What does the next year, 5 years look like?
It's a really good question. It's one we think and talk about all the time. And in pro-life states, it's ones that they're wrestling with, right? Because they banned abortion.
I pause just say, man, appreciate you, David. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate you too, Kiana. Appreciate the sub. Thank y'all for coming through and supporting and enjoying the conversation. Thank you.
In many states in this country already.
Yeah.
And it looks like a few things. First of all, I think we got to double down on resources for women. There are a lot of resources that exist, but sometimes women don't know that they exist and that there's people that want to help them. A lot of women don't know, for example, that with adoption, that there are literally over 1 million couples who would want to adopt a newborn baby, and you can actually pick and choose the couple that would adopt. You can pick and choose how much involved you want to be in that child's life if you choose adoption or if you choose parenting, that there are a lot of organizations that want to help. In California, there are hundreds of pregnancy resource centers that provide free confidential care to women before and after birth. People need to know that this stuff exists so that they can get the help that they deserve.
I don't actually disagree with that. I'm more
and then
curious,
also education on the trauma of abortion, the harm of abortion. I think that's also part of what's important.
Kind of like to balance it out, right? Because right now it's very much like a, I guess, abortion-centric narrative, where it's like that's the way to go. So you kind of want to balance it out by saying, hey, actually, there's an alternate way of doing things.
Exactly.
What I'm more curious about is abortions will continue to happen. You probably agree with that, even if there's a ban.
Yes, there will be. And that's the thing. With any ban of anything, there will be still some illegal activity or things that happen.
How do you want to address that?
Well, I think that we need to work on helping women never choose that,
But
using
they
free will as
will-
much as we
They
can.
will still choose
But
it.
for,
So
for
what-
those that do, I would definitely say make sure that they get good medical care, because at the end of the day, abortion is dangerous, whether it's legal or illegal.
The
Abortion
ones
hurts
that-
women.
the ones that choose to get abortions.
There needs to be, I think, good medical care for women, and especially
I'm more curious about, like, because if it's a ban, then it's illegal. So
are you asking who should be criminalized?
I guess, yeah. Do you think that it should be?
I think the abortionist should absolutely be criminalized, 100%.
The doctor.
The doctor
go to
or the
prison.
person that's selling abortions. Yes.
Pause.
Hi, Ceci.
So we were just talking about, you brought up the fact that you think doctors should be,
The attitude lady is back.
what was it?
Liable if they commit abortion.
Now, what do you,
yes.
because it's murder,
Because
in your opinion.
Yes. Just like there are already statutes for illegal
But
abortions.
my question to that is, what?
Just to be clear, there's already statutes for illegal abortion.
Yeah, but what I'm
there's statutes against
I'm not
infanticide,
gonna-
etc.
Okay, anyway, but with the doctor should be sent to prison. Like, if this is murder, why don't we treat it and kill my husband? I'd still go to prison even if I didn't pull the trigger. Anyone
And that's-
involved
do you
with.
think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I don't think abortion is a bad thing, so I don't think that would.
I think it went out. Hold on. Rewind it.
So we were just talking about, you brought up the fact that you think doctors should be, what was it?
Liable if they commit abortion.
Now, what do you,
yes.
because it's murder,
Because
in your opinion.
Yes. Just like there are already statutes for illegal
But
abortions.
my question to that is, what?
Just to be clear, there's already statutes for illegal abortion.
Yeah, but what
there's statutes against
I'm not
infanticide, etc.
Okay, anyway, but with the doctors, like, so do you think the doctor should be sent to prison? Like, if this is murder, why don't we treat it like murder?
It should be treated
because
like
it's
murder.
not. Well, then if I hired a hitman to kill my husband, I'd still go to prison even if I didn't pull the trigger. Anyone
and
involved
do you
with.
think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I don't think abortion is a bad thing, so I don't think that would ever be on the table
I
in
understand
my
that,
world.
but I think yes, there should be penalties for people
So
that kill
what
other
do you think
people.
should happen to me? I had an abortion when I was 19. So what, in your mind, in your perfect world, what would happen to me?
So if abortion were banned now, I wouldn't want it to be retroactive for people that had abortions in the past.
No, I'm talking about, let's say I have one
Well, I think that's an
tomorrow.
important point.
Like, no.
If you, if you had an
we're not
abortion
talking
and it was
retroactive. I'm
banned,
talking, it's murder, and you want to call it murder. Why aren't you treating it like murder?
So you're saying in
because
this,
what you do is actually villainize and shame women, and that has ripple effects throughout society.
So in this scenario, you're saying if abortion was banned and you went and had an abortion tomorrow, you're asking me what I think should happen.
I want to know. Do you think I'm a murderer?
Well, here's the thing. I would want to know, did you know that was a baby that you were killing?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Do you
I'm
think
pregnant.
it's a baby?
I'm aware of what I'm doing. I made
What
the
are you
decision.
doing? What are you doing?
I'm not letting my pregnancy go to
But
term.
what do you think that is? Do you think you're ending the life of a human being?
You know, I'm not here to
I think
debate
that's
that, though. What
important.
I'm talking
Because
about right
there's
now,
di-
we're
in-
talking about the
Well, it's
Constitution and law.
it's a-
And in law, I don't even know.
But if you can let me finish, it's important in our criminal statute. There's different kinds of penalties
You're
or
right. And
no
there's different
penalties,
types of, there's different
depending
types
on
of murder too.
depending on
Self-defense
how
in the third trimester. It's
it
mirror,
depends
it's
on
it's killing
the
me.
amount
What
of
do you think should happen
intent.
then?
It depends.
That's self-defense.
It depends on the
isn't
amount
it?
of intent that goes into the act and the amount of knowledge and freedom that goes into the act.
But why do you get
So
to decide that?
It's not me deciding that.
Or
That would
the
be the
government?
law.
Why
That would be
does
the law.
the
Because the
decide?
government's
Because
job is to
government
protect
decided
human rights.
51
And the
years ago
government
that we had
protects
the right to
children.
choose.
The government's job is to protect human rights, and that includes the human rights of children. Just because I'm a
It's not
newborn baby,
a
without
child.
the
It's not a child.
What
I'm
is it
sorry. I'm
then?
so sick of people
If it's not a
calling
child,
it
what
a kid
is
when
it?
it's not a kid. It's not.
What is it if it's not a child?
It's a zygote. It's an embryo. It's a fucking fetus. It is not a child. I'm done. And I'm also done hearing you call women murderers.
That embryo or that fetus has a mother and a father.
Not if they
What does
don't
that
want
make
it
them?
to.
That's still a life. It's still a life.
According to you, nobody in the scientific
your life is
community
valuable
has
and
even
their life is
decided on
valuable.
when life starts. No one in the scientific community has decided on when life
That's
actually
inaccurate.
starts.
You can open any human
If
biology
you're talking about
textbook,
when they come together,
and it will
there's this
tell you
beautiful
at the
flash
moment of
light that
fertilization,
happens.
you have a unique single cell embryo that's a unique
But it
individual
still
human
has to
life.
go through uterus. It still has to go through all these phases.
Well,
okay?
and you looked a lot
And then
different when you
here's
were a newborn baby than you look now. We all look different at different phases in our human development. When you're a 10-week-old embryo, you're supposed to look like a 10-week-old embryo. You're not going to look like a newborn. You're not going to look like an adult.
So you don't-
Human
it's not
development, human development, you look different at different stages. Thank you, Ceci. Hello. What's your name?
Adam.
Adam.
Spoke
Oh,
earlier,
yes.
but yeah, it's
Nice
fine.
to see you again, Adam.
Yeah, likewise. So you said that persons have equal protection under the law, and I would just say that like a fetus prior to 22 weeks is not a person. I don't want to necessarily
Not
rehash,
surprised you're saying that, 'cause
Yeah, I
that was
don't
your
wanna
argument earlier.
rehash the
Mhm.
entire argument, but the state doesn't have an interest in protecting a zygote at 10 weeks or 8 weeks, for example, because would you say that the First Amendment covers freedom of thought?
Yes, but back to the argument
Prior to
at
22
hand,
weeks, they don't even have the capacity to have thoughts. So
Well,
what
they
is
have
the
a natural, again, you know the difference between active capacity and natural capacity.
Sure.
So with the natural capacity, that has to do with a skill that we haven't developed yet or we're not
Mhm.
able to develop, but we have that natural capacity due to our human nature.
Sure.
Active capacity, we have the skill, we're employing it, right? If you
don't
are,
have to be employing it.
be
I have
clear,
the active capacity to jump right now, but I'm sitting in a chair.
fair, that's
so.
true. So if you're before birth, your brain isn't fully developed yet,
Mhm.
you have a natural capacity for reason,
Sure, so-
language, and all of those things.
Mhm.
It's not active yet. Your
At 22
your
weeks,
human
there are-
value is not defined by your active capacities. Because
Yes,
if
it
we
is.
defined human value by active capacities, somebody who was the fastest runner, had the highest
Sure.
IQ, was the strongest person on the block, they would be more valuable and have more human rights
You can
than
have
the
a
person with a
gradient. You
disability.
can have a gradient of
But would
capacity,
you agree
but
with
still
that?
have a binary.
Would you
No,
agree that
no,
one is
because
not more valuable than the other?
I don't agree
They
with
have
the premise
same
because,
human
for
rights.
example, if I rub two sticks together, a flame is going to start eventually. After that ignition, it's a flame, whether it's a wildfire or a tiny spark. Prior to that, it's something else. So when you have
But if
the
there's a
sufficient,
spark, that's fire, right?
yes, and when you have
And
the
when there's
sufficient connections
and then there's a
in
human
the brain,
embryo, that's a human.
that's not the spark. When you have sufficient connections in the brain to sustain a subjective experience,
So
that's when that
I think
spark
you're
begins.
arguing from a position of what I would call ableism. You're saying
It's
that
not,
until
because
that person
how
has
is
these
that
certain,
ableist?
because you're saying that until they have
Who
the
does my
active-
definition
if you let me
exclude?
finish, you're
Who does
saying
my
that until
definition
that
exclude? You're
person,
making an
you're
accusation.
excluding people who have the active capacity for certain abilities. And I'm saying,
Give me
if
a
you
type
have
of
a
person that
natural-
is not encompassed by
well,
my
the baby with
definition.
anencephaly or hydrocephaly, we were talking about
Sure,
them earlier.
but
They're
do you remember
just
what I
as
said
much
earlier as well, which
well,
is
you
that
said
if
they
someone
were
is a
human.
partial or potential human, they should still be protected.
But
the
that,
reason
that
you
goes
have an
against
abortion,
your logic, though.
no, it
That is
doesn't.
that is a
I value an
self-refuting
acorn
position.
and I value an oak tree. They're not the
Because you're
same
saying
thing.
that
And I would
the-
never sacrifice an acorn for an oak tree.
You're saying they have the value with hydrocephaly, but then that's only after 22 weeks. But
It's not
even
the
though they
same
lack
level
the
of
same,
value.
they lack the
It's not
same
the same
synapses.
level of value. They don't have full personhood.
Good job.
He said he would never sacrifice an acorn for an oak tree, but if he is supporting abortion, then he's sacrificing something for something, right? I don't think they listen to themselves when they're talking. I really, really don't. I think they just, I don't know. I think they're just caught up in their emotions. He's a very intelligent guy, but it's just the way you ended that, you just marked out your whole argument against abortion.
Hello again.
Hello, Julia, right?
Yes. Okay. So you had mentioned that regardless if it is illegal or not, women are still going to get abortions. So how do you justify the fact
They'll
that
have far less if it's illegal. The abortion rate goes down dramatically when it's illegal.
they're not going to report if they're doing it illegally because there's going to be repercussions? So
But
why not?
we can prove that live births go up in states where abortion is illegal. That is the fact of what has happened after Dobbs v. Jackson, and some of the trigger laws went into effect and some states made abortion illegal. So we know more women are having babies. So even with unreported illegal abortions, live births are still going up.
Do you understand
the
that
law
people, when they know that abortion is illegal or that women have more difficulty receiving abortions, they're going to carry babies to term because they're out of fear of abortions. Why not? Why would you pretty much want to defund places like Planned Parenthood, places that actively help women have safe abortions, and then it further prevents miscarriages in the future? If you allow them safe
What I
abortions.
really want to work against, and some of the work I'm trying to do now, is work against this narrative that gives women so much fear about children. We are told to fear pregnancy. We're told to fear birth. We're told to fear being mothers. And our society also tells us to celebrate abortion. And I think that's
We're
a very
not.
anti-woman view. And I
We're-
think we should flip the script on that. Instead say, actually, our superpower as women is the ability to bring life into the world
Well,
and nurture life. Men can't do that.
Our superpower of women is the power to choose. That's feminism. The power of choice. If you want to be a mother or you don't want to be a mother, that's feminism. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, you want to go to work.
But the difference,
if
my
you
friend,
are
is this:
forced-
when you're pregnant, you're already a mother, and we
Okay.
can't deny the scientific reality of that human life.
If you
That is a human life, a child, a son or a daughter that has rights too.
If
So
you
we need to
force
protect
women
both.
to have pregnancies and you force women to basically change their entire life, we're not forcing the men to do that.
Well, I think
And-
we should force the men to do that. Quite
Okay,
frankly. I
great.
think
Well,
that
have you met a man? You think they're going to do that? They're not going to do that. They're really
Well,
not.
But what you're getting at, which I think is a really good point, is that we have this sort of approach in our society when it comes to sex and relationships where men and women, and a lot of times men, I don't want to just say men do this, women do this too,
All genders.
where we treat this very maybe casually. We have this all backwards. Instead of looking at sex and relationships as something really beautiful, something you commit to for life, you sacrifice for the other person, you love that other person.
Right.
And then if you conceive a baby, you love that baby, you fight for that baby. I think that is the view we should be moving towards as a society, instead of sex being casual. If you get pregnant, just have an abortion. The man abandons
which
the
is
woman.
a very heterosexual view, because we're not including queer sex in this narrative, in which sometimes sex is
well,
often
if the queer sex brings life into the world, either way, I think at the end of the day, we're still talking about human life.
That's great, but often, but in this regards, in this argument, we're not giving
parents-
people sexual education. If you go into Planned Parenthood, they not only give abortions, they also provide STD testing. They allow men into Planned Parenthood, people without health insurance. If we're talking about healthcare as a right,
Time's up.
There's several of you I'd love to keep talking to, so I really appreciate everyone doing this. It's awesome. I actually would love to chat more with Dana. I think she's behind me. Hi, Dana.
All right, so this is the final part of the whole debate show or whatever. So she's going to pick somebody that she wants to speak with, and this person, they're going to make a claim, and she has to debate them.
I chose Dana because I didn't feel like we actually got to have the conversation. I got to hear from Dana about some of your position and why you believe what you believe. I didn't really feel like we got to dialogue about that a lot, so I'd love to do that more, and I'd also love to hear what your claim would be that you want to talk about as well.
So my claim is that my bodily autonomy is the prevailing right in this debate.
Thank you. And I feel like that's something that's come back up again and again in the conversation as a through theme that we're having. So I hear what you're saying. I agree that we have bodily autonomy. I have the right to not someone to come and hit me, hurt me, etc. But there's a very unique relationship when a woman is pregnant with another human life, with another body, and that's her son or her daughter. Whether she wanted to get pregnant, intended to get pregnant, when she's pregnant, there's that unique relationship that springs into existence with the existence of that new human life. And a few times it's been said today, well, the science doesn't matter. We're just having my opinion, my personal story. The science does matter a lot, because science can help tell us what is real and what is not real. And science does tell us when human life begins, and it doesn't magically begin at birth. Human life begins before birth, and human life begins at the moment of fertilization. And so, while I'm all for bodily autonomy, I believe that our bodily autonomy as women ends where another human being's life begins. And when I'm pregnant, there's another body inside my body, and they deserve the right to live. And yes, that's going to mean maybe a few months of me trying to hopefully take care of my body because it's feeding that body, and then delivering that child. And if I feel I can't parent, then there's other options. But I still have a responsibility not to kill that child via an abortion.
So I'm going to tell you a story. So I am a mother. I have a 22-year-old son
Amazing.
Who has autism. And I became pregnant when he was around 6 years old. And I didn't want to have that child. And so I had an abortion. And I had the abortion when I was about 6 weeks along because it wasn't a child. It was a mass of cells. And I made that decision very distinctly. I didn't have any regrets about that decision. I actually didn't have a lot of debate about that decision. I had a child where I lived in a state where we didn't have an insurance mandate. So I was working really hard to get my son the help that he needed with his autism. And I did not want to be pregnant. I was in a relationship. We made a choice because that was the choice that I made for the mass of cells that was in my body.
I totally hear what you're saying.
And I need you to understand that.
So listen to what she just said. And it goes back, and I remember Kiana put "be more responsible" into the chat. So she already was working Her language suggests that she would have been a single mother at the time, 6-year-old with autism, and in a state where she doesn't have the proper insurance to take care of this kid. And she's working hard and everything. And why would she make that decision when she could have made the original decision of, hey, look, I've already got a 6-year-old I can't take care of. I could just use protection when having sex, or I mean, honestly, you already had a 6-year-old, you're a struggling mom, don't have the proper insurance to take care of your child. You shouldn't have been dating or having sex with anybody. But that's the problem. And it goes back to what Lila Rose said when she said, well, when you're pregnant, you're already a mom. You don't wait till you get the life in you and say, hey, what am I going to do with it? As if you have nothing to do with that life being inside of your body. Like, what are you talking about, lady? And you're talking quiet and you're talking like this, trying to sound like so mature. Like, no. You make that decision before the life, not afterwards. Like, that's like ridiculous to me. Like, and she just said it and didn't even stutter.
It wasn't about what am I killing, what am I keeping alive. It was what was best for my body, because I then would have had to carry that child to term. And I also wanted you to know that when I had
Now, mind you, she just said, and shout out to Prince, said 6 weeks the brain has developed. That woman is a murderer. And she goes, now she's listing off these things like, I would have had to carry this child. I would have had. Why not before sex, though? Why not? Look, before I have sex with you, I have a child that's 6 years old with autism, don't have the proper insurance. I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to end life. That's the first thought that needs to pop up. Not this other stuff that she's saying after the fact.
my child, I am a Black woman in this world, and my birth was actually very dangerous, as was many of the women in my family, because Black women don't get the same type of health care that you receive.
I'd
And
love to respond to what you're saying. I think it's absolutely horrible that women, because of the color of their skin, are not getting good health care. I think that's ridiculous and horrible. So we are aligned on that. When you talk about your baby and you saw that baby as a clump of cells, you said it wasn't a baby to you, it wasn't a child, and you had that abortion, you have no regrets. Our feelings or our beliefs about other people don't change that other person, that other human's value. So I could have feelings or beliefs about my son, about a person I walk past down the street, about anybody in this room, but that doesn't change whether they're good feelings, bad feelings, good beliefs, bad beliefs. That doesn't change that person's innate human value. And they have innate human value not because of their capacities, not because of their abilities, but because of their innate human nature that we all share. And human nature doesn't start at birth, doesn't start a few weeks or even a month before birth. It starts at the beginning of a human person's life, which is fertilization.
But that's your opinion. So there isn't actually scientific evidence that states that human life begins at conception.
There is tremendous amount of scientific evidence that shows that. If you open any human biology textbook, you're going to find that the development process begins with fertilization of the human life.
What it says is that
and also, if you're an in vitro fertilization clinic,
what it says
if you're a technician,
is that there is cell multiplication.
But it's not just any cell multiplication, because you're made of cells, right? I'm made of cells,
well, sure.
Right? Okay, you and I are clumps of cells, right?
100%.
But we're unique clumps of cells. We're individual clumps of cells that constitute a whole human. And at the
And actually, if you can type this up and look this up, science actually says that your sperm is alive, the woman's egg is alive, and when they come together, that spark begins the human life. It is common knowledge at this point. They're just trying to do what they want to do. Because I think it would be more beautiful if people would just respect that it is human life, and that way maybe you'll think more. But because we won't tell people that, people are not thinking. They're just having sex, thinking like, oh, I'm just having sex. And like even with young guys, it makes us reckless, right? Because you just think like, oh, I'm just shooting this white stuff out, right? But no, dude, that's life. That shit moving, that shit swimming, the egg is alive. That's life. And if we could teach our children and really put just hyper focus on that when it comes to people, instead of this whole crazy casual sex culture, and people could think about that, they'll probably think about that before having sex and realize like how important and how powerful it is what you're doing. But people just think like, oh, I'm just having sex, and it just doesn't mean nothing to them. And I think people need to learn that stuff and know that stuff. Like, dude, it's life. That's what it is. What is it then? It ain't something dead in you. Like, what do you think? A corpse is in your body? No, it's alive. It ain't a dog. It ain't a cat, a mouse, a bird. Nothing. It's a human.
The moment of fertilization, you know what you got? You got a whole human. They're very small, but you have a whole human that just needs, you have a whole human at the moment of fertilization that just needs time and nourishment to grow, but has a unique genetic distinction.
But it doesn't always go that way. So for example,
you could miscarry, yes.
Yeah. So
but
when
that's still a loss of the, that's still a human being.
But when I had my miscarriage,
I'm so sorry.
I had a clump of cells that then grew and then did not grow into a human child.
I have a question for you. You said you have a son. How old is he now?
22. He's 20. Oh my goodness.
You look great, by the way. I have a question. I'm just curious, because you're talking about the baby you miscarried, the baby you had the abortion of, and you called them clumps of cells. Did you see your son when he was unborn as a clump of cell, or did you consider him in your mind as a son? I
didn't consider him a clump of cells.
You did or you didn't?
I did, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So for you didn't really feel connected to even him until he was born.
So I knew that until he was actually out of my body, that there was not necessarily a live birth that was going to happen. So because I lost a child, and I understood that having a pregnancy does not mean that you have a live birth and a baby at the end.
That is absolutely true.
And
so her belief is tied to a traumatic experience. And now it all makes sense why she feels the way she feels. After she experienced that loss, she no longer allowed herself to be connected to the human embryo growing inside of her body. And that makes sense. I'm no longer confused by the things that she's saying. I understand.
And so for me, that choice about what is happening to my body,
were you sad after the miscarriage? I'm just curious. Or were you kind of felt fine afterwards? Because I had a miscarriage too. I felt deeply sad by it.
So
women feel differently.
I was ambivalent. Okay. I was not ready to have a child. And I was going through a divorce at the time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it sucked.
It sucks.
But also, it was okay because I was not ready to be at that point. And I didn't even make that decision. So my body made that decision for me.
I hear everything you're saying, but here's it now 4 times. I'm more powerful than that baby, right? Because I have the power to talk, walk, do whatever I'm going to do. And that baby is completely dependent on me, right? Mm-hmm. And even when there's a newborn, totally dependent on everybody around them, if not their biological mother, whoever's they're handed off to, right? It's incredibly important for rule of law, for justice, for human rights, that we are especially careful to protect the rights of those that are dependent and weak. Because if we live in a society that just says the strong get to choose what they want because they can, that's not a just or a loving society. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm so pro-life. I'm so pro-life because that baby, you're right, they're totally dependent on the mother.
Absolutely.
They're completely unable to defend themselves, speak for themselves. And that's all the more reason why we as a civil and just society should care about their right to live and, by the way, help that mother It goes 2 and 2, right? Because you can't just care for the
Yes.
baby and not care for the mother. You got to care for them
And
both.
when that is a viable life outside of my body, 100%.
Well, we should
But
care
right-
at the beginning of human
but at-
development. That's my position.
Yep, and human development.
And women who are pregnant need extra care too. It's not like you just get care when the
they
baby's born. You
do.
should get extra care before.
Yes, they do.
Because you're carrying
But
a new life.
while that is still in my body, this is my body. And that is my choice about what happens to the things that are in my body. That is the choice.
Here's a question for you. Your womb. What is the womb designed for?
The
A woman's
womb-
uterus. What's it designed for?
It is designed to carry a clump of cells to eventually, sometimes grow a fetus.
And how did you start your life before birth? Where were you?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Come on, you know. Where were you before you were born?
I was in my mother's egg sac.
Okay, you were in your mother's egg sac. You mean you were in her uterus, right?
No, I was in my mother's egg sac. In her
Well,
literal actual.
well,
egg
that
sac.
wasn't you yet. An egg
No,
is not you.
The egg was
The
a,
fertilized
was a
egg.
part of me, and then the other part of me was in my dad's, I guess, testicles.
So
I mean,
it wasn't you yet, because you is when there's a whole human, right? And a unique
yes.
individual
So when I was
genetic
born,
identity.
then yes, then
Well,
then was me.
But
No,
the
no,
science
no,
shows,
no.
come on, the science shows at the moment of fertilization, sperm egg fusion,
The
you have
science
unique,
doesn't
that's
actually
when
show that.
it does show that you have unique
No,
individual.
The science does show that. Straight Hour News fact check coming through again. Fertilization creates a single cell with combined genetic material, which repeatedly divides as it moves down the fallopian tube and attaches to the uterus, starting embryo development.
genetic
Science
identity that's
shows-
distinct from your
The
parents.
science shows that when an egg is
That is a
fertilized, that there is cell multiplication.
But
that does
what
not
kind of cell multiplication? It's not like skin cells.
Well,
It's not skin cells. What is
sure.
it?
It becomes skin cells.
Well, it
is
develops
cell-
its skin eventually.
Well, sure.
But what is it? What is it? Come on. What is it?
It's a massive cells.
But what is it? It's a human embryo, right?
Well, yes.
That's developing rapidly.
But it is a clump of
But
cells.
we already said we are clumps of cells. So you're kind of using that pejoratively, like, oh, you're a clump of cells. You can be aborted. You can be miscarried. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You and
But
I
it-
are
but
clumps of
it's-
cells. So
but
it's,
it's
a
not a
little
clump- but it's
dehumanizing.
not a-
You're being a little
Wait,
dehumanizing.
Yes, I am being dehumanizing
Why?
because it is a
Why?
clump of cells.
But we are clumps of cells. We already, you
Yeah.
acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So you're
Because
not wanting to
until-
dehumanize
because
us, right?
until-
Why wouldn't you dehumanize us
Because
with that term?
until
But you
you are
dehumanize the baby.
actually outside of my body, there are no rights. Because if there were, my friend,
But I keep asking you
if
why.
there
And you
were-
keep saying just because
if
it's in your
there
body. But
were,
why does that
there would
child not
already
have
be
rights?
laws on the books. And currently, there are no laws on the books that say that anything that happens before that birth means that they are not actually live.
That's actually inaccurate. So
No.
even in states like California, there's such a thing. There has been such a thing until recently, in the last 2 years, as illegal.
All right, we got another Straight Hour News fact check. It says 17 states grant fetuses some form of personhood, while federal and state laws offer protections in cases like crimes against the mother. Here we go.
Legal abortions. Are you aware of that?
And it does remind me, they had this guy, he shot and killed this mom, and she was pregnant, and he got charged with double homicide, one for her and one for the baby in her stomach.
So even in states that are blue states,
No.
there
So
are illegal abortions where it says, yes, before birth, this is a person that has some rights and we're going to protect them. And similarly, if you're
so
Scott
that's
Peterson,
an illegal medical
one
procedure.
other example.
It's about the medical
But
procedure.
Another
not
example.
about the actual
Here's
life.
another example. Well,
So
Scott
for
Peterson, he killed his pregnant wife, Lacey, and their unborn son, Connor. Connor, in your view, was just a clump of cells. He wasn't burned
Mhm.
yet, but his dad killed him. Should he have been penalized for killing both his wife and the pregnant part of his wife, the baby, the boy, his son, Connor?
No.
So you think Scott Peterson should have
So
got
Scott-
off scot-free?
Did you just hear what she just said? That is how far she is willing to take it when it comes to this argument and having the right to abort. And she says that man should not have gotten in trouble. for killing his wife and unborn child. Just pure evil, honestly. Just she's cold blooded. Rick James had a song. Y'all go check that out. Cold blooded is about her. Sad, 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 sad. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yep. Kiana says you can be charged with the murder of both mother and kid. Yep. My brother Prince says that's in most states. Any pregnant person gets X'd out. You get 2 charges. Prince also says that she's closed-minded. Yeah, she's very closed-minded. And sometimes, you know what, and it kills me is that you can still believe what you believe, right? People feel like they can't agree at all in a debate. And so to be so cruel just to try to win a debate to me is just ridiculous. It's no award at the end of this debate. So I don't know why she's being that way or acting that way. It just makes no sense. Like there's no reason to be that way. Exactly. She's sick. Sick.
For killing
Scott
his 8-month-old
Peterson-
unborn son.
Scott Peterson should have been penalized for killing his live wife.
But not Connor. Connor had no
Connor
rights.
was not alive.
So if I
Connor
so
was
if
in
my-
her body.
so if I'm a woman,
Connor
so if a
was in
woman's
her body
boyfriend-
and was not a human being with rights on this
So,
planet.
This
as
is
of
very
yet.
dark because you're saying if a woman is
If it is
pregnant and her
not
boyfriend
So she's saying the baby wasn't alive. So what was it then? If it wasn't alive, and if in fact Connor had no rights, then how could the father be charged with killing them? You know what? What this lady is saying is very dangerous, and I don't know if she likes the road that this goes down. So what this woman is saying, and I'm telling you, any women that know this woman, get the hell away from her. Because let me tell you something. What this woman is essentially saying and what she believes is you could be a young woman and you're dating a guy, you know, and you're doing what young people do, making love, having sex, right? And then one day you go to your boyfriend, you go, oh my God, you go, oh Jeremy, I'm pregnant. And Jeremy, he's like, huh, for real? He kind of nervous because he's not really ready to be a dad, right? And you know, Jeremy's kind of nervous. He, you know, y'all kind of talk about should y'all get an abortion or not. And he, you know, you decide that you're not going to get an abortion because you always wanted to be a mother, right? And so, you know, a couple of months goes by and you think that Jeremy has come to terms with the fact that he's about to be a father and you're about to be a mom, and you think nothing of it, right? Now it's kind of like you're at the 3-month mark, right? Or the 4-month mark. And Jeremy can't take it no more, right? He's starting to know, he's noticing your stomach growing. And Jeremy is like, look, I can't be no dad. And so, and what I'm telling you, this has happened before, right? I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. I watch a lot of true crime. So Jeremy just, you know, he either hires somebody or he does it himself, and he just runs up and he just punches you in the stomach, knocks you over, stumps on your stomach, and gets rid of the baby in your stomach. According to this evil woman, nothing should happen to Jeremy because the baby wasn't alive. It wasn't on earth. It wasn't outside of the womb, and it shouldn't have any rights. That's what she's saying. Mind you, what I just said has happened to real women where they wanted to keep their children, and you've had these evil men that said, no, I don't want to be a father, and they have did what they had to do to terminate that pregnancy. And what this woman is saying is that's okay. She doesn't feel like there should be any laws to protect that child. Insane. Prince of Petty says, if more people believe what she's talking about, there'll be hella more Ray Caruso. Yep. Kiana says she is tripping for real, and you are right about this being dangerous to say. Yep. Very dangerous what she's saying. Like, what if that was like a daughter of her, a niece, a cousin or something? Can you imagine going to her and telling her what this guy that you got pregnant by did, and she would be like, well, you know, the baby wasn't alive anyway, girl, get over it. Like, she is sick. Oh my gosh.
Friend slips drugs into her drink to force an abortion on her. She wants to have this baby. He puts drugs in her drink. Would you say that there should be no penalties for that man and what he did to her?
Against the
But you just said the baby is not born yet, so it has no rights.
Against the mother's body, not against that.
What if
that child does not have rights?
It's just a drug designed to kill the baby. It's just designed to kill the baby in her womb.
But it's designed to harm the tissue that is in her body. Because that's her body.
So you're saying it would have been wrong. Scott Peterson should have been given penalties for killing Connor.
For harming Lacey.
But not for harming Connor.
For harming Lacey.
So if a man...
So Connor is a part of Lacey, then it's harming Lacey.
So if a man kills his girlfriend's unborn baby, he should not be penalized for killing the unborn baby, only for in some way harming her.
That's time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
But even then, what she's saying is dumb, because what would he get? An assault or battery charge versus a murder charge? She tried to clean it up at the end, and I'm glad that the clock stopped her, because she realized, you could see it on her face. Well, no, but harming the mother, she's trying to make like you can still get the same penalties and justice for harm, and we know that's not true. You don't get the same time first you committed murder versus you beat somebody up. Like, come on, that woman is crazy. Insane. Princess, so slipping to Mickey is wrong though. She got caught up. She didn't have a good argument at all.
I mean, I thought it was great. I really appreciated everyone coming and giving it their best. I mean, I think we all tried to have conversations that were meaningful. And I mean, I think this is the most important issue that we're facing as a country.
I thought it was really interesting, myself as a mother, to talk to another mother who's on the other side of this. I was disappointed, though, that I didn't hear any arguments I hadn't heard before, just doing this activism for 7 years.
I wasn't going to change her mind, and she wasn't going to change my mind, which is often the frustration going into these.
Do you need me to be PG-13 or no? Okay, because I think Lila's she is okay with holding a 10-year-old down and making them give birth. Like, she's gross. That's what I think of Lila.
There were some women that shared that they had had abortions. Obviously, that can be really raw. I think that goes to one of the things that we try to spread awareness about, which is that abortion does hurt women, that abortion leaves trauma.
Honestly, I wanted to swing. I really wanted to swing. Your whole lack of empathy and you telling me that my child should be standing right here, like, I promise you could have gotten Jerry Springer real quick if y'all had allowed it. You absolutely know nothing of this experience, which is why I like that a lot of the Black and brown women really got in her face about that.
She felt like she had no choice. She was saying I was drug addicted, or I don't remember all the details of her story, but if you felt like you had to have this abortion because of domestic violence and poverty, is that really a choice?
So I firmly believe that Dana and Zeke were the strongest debaters in this.
Mason's really well informed. Mason's really smart.
Two that really stood out to me were Cece and Dana.
Miss Dana, hands down. Just to see someone who had been through what I had been through, but older, and having that wisdom, having that patience,
being able to have an opportunity to push back against a narrative that is harmful to people with uteruses, I think is always a valuable space.
Is there a middle ground where abortion is okay in some circumstances? I would say no. These are lives, human lives.
Middle ground, because what I'm talking about is healthcare, and what she's talking about is her emotions.
Honestly and truly, yes, we can find a middle ground, but there has to be a lot less shaming from pro-life people, because I don't care what you say, I'm not a murderer for choosing myself. And honestly and truly, I believe if it was her children in this situation, she'd have a completely different tone. They often do.
I think it's incredibly important to have conversations with people that you disagree with. And so I'm really grateful for everyone that came today, and I'd love to do it again.
That was a lot. That really, 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 really was. I don't know what to say. I want to go. I'm currently on a diet. After a conversation like that, I kind of want to go and I want to cheer myself up by eating something that I'm not supposed to. Yeah. Anywho, shout out to my brothers, the Prince of Petty and Mr. Marcus Banks himself, or who I call Mr. Marcus. But I did apologize to him for that because I realized Mr. Marcus is the name of a popular porn star, and we all remember Mr. Marcus had Superhead on her video. Anywho, shout out to Kiana. Appreciate you sticking through with us to the end. Prince laughed at that. You know who Mr. Marcus is, man. Remember, yeah, Mr. Marcus, Wesley Pipes. Let's see. Who else? They had that one dude that just kept getting in trouble. Brian Pumper. That's who it was. Brian Pumper. That kept getting in trouble and everything. Shout out to Julian as well, and David, man. I appreciate you all. I don't know if y'all still here or not, man, but appreciate y'all coming through and showing support. Thank you so much to Mr. Marcus again, man, for the $20 super chat, man. I appreciate you, brother, man. Thank you for looking out, man, bro. Thank you so much. Shout out to Jacqui Da. Yep. Shout out to Tree Ninja. He was tearing it up in the chat today. Had lots and lots of fun jokes, man. A lot of cool stuff he said, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. I had fun, man. Shout out to Susan. Shout out to Janelli. And we had Jody was up in here too. Appreciate you coming through as well. I'm pretty some people probably left already. Shout out to Sylvester, Arnell, Connecticut State land. I almost said Connecticut State Jail. Yo, shout out to what was it, Allison? Shout out to Juja. Yep. I think I got everybody, man. Appreciate you all, man. Fun conversation, man. The pro-life and pro-choice conversation is always fun. I especially like, who's that white lady that always goes up to the colleges and she be out there arguing with the college students, man. She is funny and she really pulls their emotions out, because when she talk about abortion, she brings like examples. So she'll have like the embryo, like it's a fake embryo, it ain't a real one, but a fake one sitting on the table, and then she'll have the actual tools that they use to do abortions sitting out on the table as well. So that live dismemberment is a real thing. Like seriously, like they pull the baby apart. It's crazy. It's crazy. Let's see. What's up, Beluga? Ask what are you talking about? You guys, a question. Is it what kind of question? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, the lady's name is Kristen Hawkins. And she'll be up at,
a few months ago, Ali Sadiq.
She'll be up at these colleges debating with college students. I don't know if y'all seen her before. I'll show you what she looked like, Chris, now. Real quick before I close out. Let me see. There she go.
I have.
Yeah, I know. Your next
Okay.
question.
The other thing is you keep referring to
Right here,
pro-choice
that's
people, pro-abortion.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone is pro-abortion. I think it's pro-choice.
Pro-choice to do what?
To do what they want with their own body.
Oh, to have an abortion.
Yeah, but that's doing what they want with their body.
Are you anti-abortion or are you pro-abortion? Because like you can only be one or two things.
No, I'm
anti-abortion.
pro-choice.
I'm very happy to take the mantle of being anti-abortion. In fact, that's how I introduce myself at events. Instead of using the word pro-life, I actually say I'm an anti-abortion human rights activist because I think it's very important for us to define what we're.
But yeah, that's a. Oh man. Let's see, Mark. You said, are you coming back tomorrow? I don't know. I don't have no guarantee that I'm going to come back tomorrow. I got like a real busy schedule. This weekend and next weekend as well too. I do. So that's why I was trying to make sure I come on and do it today. If I can early in the morning, if I can do it early in the morning, I'll do it. I have to see though. Yeah, I have to see. I'll probably have some pre-recordings ready for the rest of this week. But I don't like those too much because I can't really engage with the chat. You kind of just like record it and then set it to go, so. But I'll see. Hopefully I can tomorrow. I just have to see. I have to see. Hopefully I can even come back tonight and do something. So I'll see. Hopefully. Yeah. Anywho, man, I appreciate y'all all, man. I really, really do, man. This be the highlight, of my day, man. 'Cause I like being online, but then like Clubhouse kind of sucks. Everybody's talking about the same thing, like literally one person to open the room, make up a title, and then everybody copies off that same title. And so you got like 10 rooms open up talking about the same damn thing. And they just talk about it for hours. They never come to a solution or anything. And then it just ends up being a gender war, and they just end up arguing, and it's just weird. It's just crazy. So I don't know, man. Anyway, I'm about to head out. This is Risky Behavior ENT. I am your humble host, Mr. Diabolical himself. I appreciate you all. I will see you next time. I don't like to make promises, so I might not be back tomorrow. If I can tonight, because look, the older you get, sometimes you fall asleep, and that's not my fault. Sometimes I sit on the couch and I'm like, man, let me sit down real quick. My foot hurt, right? And then next thing you know, you wake up, it's the morning. I can't be blamed for that. I don't know how age and stuff slips up on you like that. It just does. You know what I'm saying? Let's say, Mr. Bible. Oh man, yeah, Mark, man. I love coming in here, man, chopping it up with y'all, man. I definitely do, man. It's fun. Let's see. All right, I'm about to head out. All right, appreciate you all. And Mark said, I understand what you mean. That's why I always ask what time. Oh yeah, you be you be falling asleep too, man. Yeah, you know what it is, man. You can't help it, man. And look, your sleep more important than anything. So if you got to get it, you got to get it. When it's that time, your body gonna let you know. Ain't nothing you can do about that. Yeah. All right, I'm gone. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Peace.
Risky behavior.